That should be working. So, hello, first time. Happy New Year's, everyone. I think I'll do a video game stream today, right? Talk about, I think, the best upcoming games for next year, which might be already your year, right? Depending where you live. And, I worked in the game industry for like 15 years or whatever, and I actually did work on FF7 Remake, right? Which is not actually because it's FF7 Rebirth, but you get my point. So let's start with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm going to talk about that a bit, right? And I will go over, again then, the games I think will be the best this year. And the list isn't like, this is the best one, second one, whatever, right? The list is kind of randomized. But this still is, I guess this is my most anticipated game though, so this is like my number one. But the other games aren't really in a particular order or anything like that. Just kind of like the way I frame them, I guess. But anyways, it's the first time streaming 76. We might be changing games later or whatever in this stream. The reason, I said briefly here, right? Keeps saying it's about a new PC, but on Black Friday, finally got here, right? It took like 3 weeks to get here. And yeah, it's like the best PC you can buy money, whatever. But it's the reason I didn't stream any Street Fighter when the game was released then a few months ago was simply because that PC couldn't handle it. It could barely play the game. So if I was playing the game and streaming, it just crash. So I just when I played it a bit in this game to begin with, now I can finally play it. Now I can finally play it while also we can take it to that cash or play some games while I talk about it, right? But anyway, let me open up. Oh, an energy drink. Yeah, now it's like gamer moment. But oh yeah. Let me get in the gamer moment. Oh yes. Okay. FF7 Rebirth. Edit and so on. I'm really excited for FF7, guys, because I'm a big JRPG fan, right? As a kid, my dream was always to work for Square Enix, simply said, right? Like work for Square Enix, making JRPG games, basically. And we have Comment or whatever. And there's some bunch of other, games, right? Yeah. But most of that, and also like Blizzard. So my first job out of college was Blizzard. But even already at it was a Blizzard, I got to work at what's it called? Not the games actually for Square Enix, but I got to work for their localization. Rather, localization we did on some of those games they did in the Japanese of that rather than me, and so on, right? So, but then later, a few years afterwards then I actually worked on what's it called? FF7 Remake then, the first one, right? Not this one. But the funny thing is that I can say immediately, guys, before we get to Rebirth, everything I did on FF7 Remake, again the first one then, the part 1, right? Basically nothing that's left. It's like, because that was in 2015, so, and the game was released 5 years later, right? So basically anything I did on that game actually wasn't left in that final version. More or less, you know how it is. Yeah, that game was redid, remade so many times, right? It really was. So that's kind of crazy. But thinking about that's so bad. I'm so rusty now, but you can obviously do your focus after you land, so that's just bad of me. So I should easily done it here. What? I could do that. Oh, bad. Yeah, I'm so rusty. Should be light. Sorry, I just play so bad. I just really win this game. It's a silver, man. It's a silver castle though, so it's probably fake silver, but still. Oh, come on, why would you use Fox there? It's crazy. Take the Memphis? No, it's the first one. I'm not going to Memphis. Oh my god. Why would you shoot him? Like, why? No, this is so bad. No, he's just terrible. I mean, it's like, why would you do it there for? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you focus there for? This is when you face a random silver guy on casual. You're like, why are you focused there for? I haven't played the game in a few months now, but I'm just like, so there we go. Like just I mentioned earlier. But anyway, let's talk about Rebirth then. The reason that I think that Rebirth is gonna be great, right, is because things that I wasn't a big fan of the actual remake. Honestly, I gave it like a 6, right? I actually was pretty. Honestly, I was like devastated, disappointed in FF7 remake, genuinely. And the reason was because honestly, it wasn't a very good game, except of course the graphics and storyline. But the storyline, I mean, yes, they obviously rewrote it, but most of it though we already know, right? So it was like I call it the best movie I ever played, right? You know? Yeah, it's crazy. So it was like a pretty bad gameplay actually. So first of all, the combat system in FF7 Remake is really good. It's much better than, for example, FF16, right? And it's arguably better than FF13. FF13 has like the best one of all the games, I would say, in fantasy. But, however, massive issue, right, with the game though, is that it doesn't have any challenge, right? It's super easy. Same issue, of course, with 16 has. Super duper easy, right? And what can I say more? Like, not only is it easy, but the problem is I was just joking with you. Sorry, that was so bad of me. That was bad of me. I just couldn't help myself. How can I explain it? Like, the issue with the first FF7 remake is that it is easy, but it also really lacks any like challenge. Not just because it's easy itself, right? Because the gameplay is easy, but like where's all the mini bosses, right? Where's all the extra bosses? Where's all the quests, right? I mean, it has some side quests, but it lacked so much of this like if you played, let's say FF, mostly I think 10 and forward, they have all these hunts, right? There's so many hunts, 16 episodes of hunts, right? So that's all that is missing in FF7 remake. Like, it's really weird. Like 16 at least has a lot more fights, right, than 7, yeah. So 7 or than remake lacked all of that. But otherwise, the gameplay of FF7 remake it's much better than FF16. It's like too goddamn many names. Yeah, 16 has a good combat system too, but it's not as good as the remake, right? But it has a lot more fights in it, right? A lot more hunts and so on. So that was really weird in remake. Basically, it had arguably the best Final Fantasy combat system has ever had, arguably, but it has the least amount of actual enemies to fight, if that makes any sense, right? So that really like ruined remake for me in a large sense. And I read his review about 16 just a few years ago, and it was very interesting because in the review he basically was framing it like this is a great game if you don't actually like playing video games, right? He was framing it in a very similar way to how I framed my review on 7 remake. In the sense that, okay, like 16 has great storyline, good characters, obviously great graphics and so on. But if you actually like to min-max, right, you like to grind, whatever you like to RPG, like element and stats and different crafting and so on, like 16 is completely empty. And also 16 was a pretty bad game. I was behind me here, I know, 16 is behind me here, right? But, you know, it's like a great storyline game, absolutely. And the combat looks amazing. But it's a really weird game too, with the exact same issues that of course that remake had, right? Which is like, but like, you know, the talent system is completely not interesting. The items you get are not interesting. You need the better weapons are used. I mean, again, this game is worse than 7 remake, right? In that sense, yeah. The new sword is just a sword with like 5 more attack power, right? Like there's no actual there. So very bad in all those like typical, you know, game element stuff, right? Character development or whatever and so on. So they both have the same issue, but anyways, they have the main issue why I think remake actually was pretty bad. Now, why am I hyped then for this game? Well, you know, as soon as I saw all the trailers, and I looked at the trailers and all the stuff, right, with Rebirth, is that now they have all that stuff, right? At least it looks like that, but it has a lot more of it, right? They don't have to have it perfectly, but it's clearly a lot more of it. So it's much more. That's why I'm really excited, right? It has more mini games. It has chocobo racing. it has like some weird like maybe the dance party game or who knows, right? But like it have that stuff. It has probably nothing. It has its own double. Oh yeah, it's a little bit. Might be too rusty to face this kind of guy level. Yeah, he's like platinum, not a very good play still though, but I don't know. Guy is interesting. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. I'm not using this smash up at all. Should maybe change character. Yeah, that was the easy way to frame it, right? Just. Why would you? Okay. So now you have terrible system. Of course. Oh, come on. I'm too rusty for this. But Rebirth in Australia then, it has all that stuff that I wanna see fantasy. It has the mini games, right? It has the different like the framing of, okay, you can play Chocobo, and you have different side stuff and so on, right? So it's not like completely perfect yet, so to speak, because I still don't know if it has all these mini bosses or extra bosses, whatever, right? But they had that Shinra like training lab in the first game, right? But it only had 2 extra bosses there, and they could easily add like 20 more, like after 10, right? If that has that thing, that would be a great game, because again, the remake system, the actual combo system is actually really good, right? It's arguably, again, the best Final Fantasy combo system ever. It's really, really good. But you have to actually have any enemies and bosses and so on. But it seems to have that, and it has a lot more side stuff and so on, right? So I feel now that, yeah, they might really live it on Rebirth, right? That being said, though, it is, of course, the second of 2 parts, right? Talking about that, and that's the weird that game, though. So you're wondering, okay, like, it's not over yet. They have one more, part. Yeah, one more part. You probably get Vincent and Sid, right? Like, yes. Well, yeah, you couldn't play red in the. That's the point. You couldn't play red. Yeah, don't remind me of that. It's in Euphoria red, of course. Oh shit. Oh man, I played so bad. That was bad. I mean, reaction. I should have done that. But it seems to have all of that stuff, right? So it's but it's a little bit worried, but also from a developer standpoint, I say the last here then. From a development standpoint, all right. The thing is, you have a game though, like Final Fantasy, right? You also have think about like this development cost, all stuff, right? So the thing is that basically sequels are always obviously much cheaper to make, right? They don't have to be cheaper per se, like they must cost more in total. But to actually like do something like, okay, I'm gonna make a mini map, right? Or I'm gonna make X thing happen, or I'm gonna give a good example. I'm gonna like design this boss, right? You can reuse the code from the first game. You can remake, like for example, you can reuse your code from this boss to this boss or whatever. Right? You don't have to be at that. You can also make a complete new, like you can also make everything from scratch, and it can be terrible and expensive and so on. But in a general sense, right? Usually it's much more cheaper to make it. Right? That hit? I don't think so. Yeah, okay, maybe it blocked it. But so all that stuff too, it's much cheaper for them to actually make the game happen, right? From an actual technical standpoint. I have to concentrate a bit. It's diamond it is. But yeah, it should be much better. But anyway, let's say some game. I'm gonna change the images sooner than to read this guy again here. Oh, that's a good random. Wait. Oh, he's down. Oh, he's downloaded. Okay, that was good him though. That was good though, the super one there, that was good. I like that. Oh, he waited. Oh, he waited. He waited. That was nice. Oh, lucky for him though. That easily could have killed him. Yeah. I'm gonna beat this guy hopefully. Now I'm into this game too much here. No, but this guy is like an actual like decent player, right? So I have to focus it a bit. That's nice, like that thing. That's pretty nice. Oh, it's fake. There we go. Corner. Oof. Oh, okay, he did. Oh, yeah. Nice. How do you work with that? I press the wrong input. I'm rusty. I press the wrong input sometimes. Oh, okay. He baited me. Jag baited. There we go. Oh, it's just two. I have to wait it out more. Oh, baited. Baited. I'm shorter on the range though, so I. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Let me change game. Oh, okay. Next game. This is random. Okay. Yeah, Yakuza. Just random. How is this ordered? Okay, next game I started for. I put it on a list. I made my own list, right? But I didn't put them in order to mention. Next game. I really liked Like a Dragon. A great game, of course. With Ichiban. And so the next game then, it's actually coming out very soon from now. I think in January. If I'm wrong, it's like the end of next month. That's about a month from now, right? We have this game then. So, how would I explain this game if you haven't played it, right? I mean, the older games were like, I guess, brawlers. Was that right? Some kind of fighting game. Each 30, yeah, like something else. Oh, that better. Now I was gonna reset it, but I did it wrong. What? You can't do that? I thought I would EX through it. That wasn't focused there. What? You can E through it. So I'm gonna do that move through the fireball in that range. Thought it worked. I'm not a Rashid main, so I was like, doesn't that work? Maybe it doesn't work there. Oh. Ah, come on. Luke is a very good character. Yeah, it's so fast. I can't play these guys. Not as Rashid at least. But okay, so let's talk about Like a Dragon. So the first game, it's hard to explain it because my point is that they went from this, obviously it's based on Shenmue, right? And I was a big fan of Shenmue as a kid, right? Shenmue. And the later games, I think there are like 7 of them and a prequel. One thing was great generally with this game, even though I played some of the other games, right? Is that, yeah, eventually it was like always like 7 or 8 games and 2 side spins off and then other spin off, and it's like, my god, it's like 10 games, right, in this franchise. So Ichiban becoming the new character and also then changing the gameplay system was a really great idea from Sega and Atlus, because it's like, yeah, this is much better. We need like a fresh start, right? New characters, new main characters, so on. And what they did then, basically, they combined, you know, like the Persona kind of combo system, obviously a turn-based and RPG, but it's very more similar to Persona of any other game, I would say. And you know, it's the same, some of the same developers, right? Because it's Sega. So some of the same developers, all of them, but some of them there. And yeah, like it's just really good. And I mean, I like the old school Shenmue system as well, right? But obviously, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be a year release now, FF7 in this game. But no, but I think it's a really good game, really. And one thing with just Like a Dragon is a mature, you know, the storyline, you know? It isn't just like, oh, we're fighting dragons, but it's like, no, someone is, I don't know, cheating the tax fraud or something. Yeah, like, I like it. I like how I've taken typical, you know, role-playing elements. It's like, oh, you have jobs, or you can be like a plumber, and then you have disabilities. So you can be like a bartender, you can throw like, you know, you can use like your bottle or something. Yeah, it's like, it's funny, man. Like, it's the classic, it's a really weird, funny game, and it's really, really enjoyable, and the characters are fun, sort of like crazy, and then I talked about earlier, the mistake, right, of FF7 Remake was, again, the lack of everything extra, right? Like a Dragon had all of that stuff, you know? It had like you can be like a bunch of mini games, a go-kart game, and you have like this weird game. You're like a like you're a business guy, like a CEO of like a cookie company, yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, in like a Dragon, you have that Ichiban is running like a cookie store or something. Then you have to go to like you have to buy stuff and like improve the stores. Yeah, you buy different stuff, right, and so on, and what is it? You improve the actual stores you have, and you hire people, and you can train them and so on. But you also have to go to this like what's called ERs, yeah, earning reports, right? And you have to like vote on earning reports and convince people to vote for you and get like the board to agree with you and so on. Like it's ridiculous. It's a weird mini game where you're like, oh yeah, you're playing as a CEO of a cookie company. So this is what I mean, right? All the stuff that I was missing in, for example, the FF7 Remake, that I expect from these, like, top tier RPGs are in like a Dragon. So I'm very excited for the Hawaii version, then the next game we can play Ichiban. To find his mom, I guess, in the trailer and so on. She's probably evil. His mom is probably evil, but yeah. They're gonna have the similar mini games, right? Some more new characters, some recurring characters, probably an improved combat system. Still, obviously, will be similar to like other RPGs, mostly the Persona games. So you have your tag and it's like more, alert, turn-based of that, right? And probably some new jobs, right? Which are the classes then. You have you could be like a bartender or a plumber or a DJ or something, and that gives you abilities. So like breakdance and so on. Yeah, breakdancing on the combat field and so on. Eddie style. Oh, badly dropped it. Don't back down just because you got exhausted, you know. Okay, that. But I should do hard kick there. I could do light and jumps there. See, I won't die from this thing. I don't think so. Maybe. But die from this thing? No. Yeah. Exactly. Classic. You jump and you throw people off. I don't say all for that, but it's a very classic strategy in fighting against enemies, but Street Fighter. And that corner pressure. Oh. It's pretty good, but near to jump right, yeah. Oh, didn't I sit down? What? That was weird because I shouldn't blame the equipment, but that felt weird because I was like, what these legs? Maybe sit down. Let's play better now. What more can I say about the game? Well, I mean, general storyline, right? Yeah. Interesting characters. They probably have more of an American touch with it. I mean, obviously Hawaii is part of America, obviously. But, yeah, in the previous one, it was like Korean, Chinese, and Japanese different teams, right, to speak. This game is probably still Japanese, obviously. But absolutely American, maybe like Mexican or something. It's gonna be something else, yeah. But I think it can be a fun take on it too, because in the previous game with all the characters, and also mostly Japanese and other East Asian characters, right? So this might be a bit interesting, given the trailers and so on. What? 3 exit. Ah, suck. I feel so bad. That's terrible. I wasn't even close to that lady. Oh, dude, she was. That was pretty fair. That's Rashid now, what you can do. With strategies, right? But the best one, I feel usually, if I play it safe, is to use the winding, right? So you summon the wind by charging your your kick button. You can make a stronger wind, right? Thing is that if you have the wind with you, the whirlwind with you, right? The sand wind you can fly on. If you then do your, it's called like not condor, that's eagle spike, it's called, right? Condor is T-Hawk, right? This one is very unsafe if you block it normally. Right, but if you do it when you have the wind up, you will like bounce back on them, right? So if they have exhaust state, you can throw the wind, you can fly on them, and they basically can just stand there and take it, because, and they will lose a lot of life points, right? Like ship by ship damage. So if they have low life points, oh, so long there, so safe there, shows I'm into it. Looks like a classic strategy there. Classic Rashid. Oh, jump again like that. Really? But yeah, next game. There's no win this round there. Yeah, I got it. A bit nervous. Yep. I don't know why she keeps jumping so much for. That was nice though. She went perfectly jump through it there. That was nice. Yeah, that was nice. She can't block that though, but yeah, that was nice. She actually kind of jumped. That was pretty beautiful. Yeah, she kind of like whip whip. Okay, another game that isn't like preferably. Ooh, here we go. The next Elden Ring. Yeah, the next Elden Ring, guys. So, Black Wukong, right? I think this is a game that's really interesting, right? So, the trailer's great. This might definitely be the best game next year. If you're a big fan of like the Souls game, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's a Souls game, right? So if you like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Neo, and so on, right? This is a poorly game for you, but there's a lot of those games coming, as always, right? Coming next year, and it really is. You have to say though, it's the Elden Rings. No, sorry, also Elden Ring, but especially generally Dark Souls and so on, and Sekiro as well. But I mean, really, like that, this genre itself has become, I would say, saturated, right? I won't say that first, okay? I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying that I'm tired a little bit of how popular this genre of the Souls game has become. There are way too many of them, and honestly, because of there are way too many, most of them suck these days, right? It used to be only like a few of them per year, mostly basically Dark Souls and maybe another Japanese company. So it was like 2 or 3 of them per year, and they actually were all good then. Mostly because, I mean, it's kind of like a hardcore genre, right? But yeah, these days it is such a common genre. It has become a super common genre. She can't block that, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know. But that being said, I am happy to see this game. Right, this game is great. It looks to be again the best next year of the Souls game, right? Black Wukong. It's really good. And I mean, I like the genre. Don't get me wrong. I love Elden Ring. You know, I always like Dark Souls. Obviously Sekiro is one of my favorites of all time as well, right? I like Sekiro more than I like Dark Souls. I would say I probably like Elden Ring more than Sekiro, but I like the combat system, you know, a lot more than Sekiro. I like the balance, right? It's obviously more fighting game, right? Yeah, Sekiro is more like you have to balance that thing and you dodge more. I like that more. So my dream game from software would be Sekiro Ring, you know, you know, like Elden Ring, but with Sekiro combat system instead of someone. That would be really good. Yeah, the open world, like take your own path much more and all that stuff, right? But it is with the Elden Ring, basically the Elden Ring world or lore or all that stuff, right? But the Sekiro combat system more. That being said, though, I guess it doesn't make as much sense because obviously, because Sekiro doesn't have so much leveling or like finding different magics or whatever, it wouldn't make much sense what you actually would get, maybe, perhaps, as a reward. So you would have to change what you actually get inside the dungeons or whatever, I suppose, right? Because it wouldn't make as much sense. But still, though, you could basically do like an Elden Ring. You know, you beat like tinier dungeons. Instead of getting like an improved summon or something, maybe it improves your ninja gear, right? It improves your spear or your it's called the firecrackers or whatever, right? So I could still see it happening, but that's like my dream game from software. Yeah, Sekiro plus Elden Ring, and makes a kind of Sekiro Ring or something. And the funny thing is that, not a big spoiler really, I would say, because it has different endings, right? But how Sekiro ends in the true ending, it kind of ends, I would argue for, because it's a little bit, you know, how does it end? But it kind of ends with the cast being like, let's go and explore the world or something, be free from this curse or whatever. So I think Sekiro 2 would fit into, if it like follows like the true ending or whatever, that now it's like an open world, you're exploring East Asia, like China or something, you know. Like you're out in China exploring basically, right? So I think it really fit that. But anyway, I digress. So I like the genre. I played most of the games, right? And obviously Neo is also a game I like as well. And I like Neo more than the Souls game, right? But anyway, this game is really great to me, right? You know, it obviously has more of that Sekiro Neo vibe because it's China, right? It has more East Asian vibes, and not to be like a total weebo, but I feel I do prefer that over maybe the medieval stuff. But it's not because I'm not a big fan of like typical European medieval art or whatever. But I do think that, you know, how many games or TV shows and anime and so on, even more than anime, how many games and so on doesn't it have that take place in like, you know, Dark Age as medieval Europe, right? You know, like the Souls game. All the Souls games are based on Berserk basically, but still though, also Berserk also takes place in that, right? So it's a little bit like, no, well, sure, the second most common place is East Asia though. So maybe I want something in the Middle East, something. Yeah, that would be the real dream, right? I guess. But yeah, it is a little bit. Oh yeah, you can't do that. You can every time it. I was like, I was thinking like, well, is it true that East Asia is number 2 though? Obviously, Japan is like an incredibly common place for video games to take place in, right? And even if it's not made by Japanese developers, you still have games like, what's called again? Ghost of Tsushima and so on. You still have other developers that are not in Japan still making Japanese stuff, right? That was good. Yeah, still making Japanese stuff because they're all like, weebs, like, I'm gonna make that game, right? Of course they are. Oh yeah, that's good. See, Blanca is annoying to meet. I'm way too rusty to face Blanca seriously. It's like a weird character. I remember all this weird input he had. Weird. Oh shit. That was generally a missing for me. Yeah, I'm gonna be more careful. But honestly, I have to think a little bit now. This is sort of like weird. I mean, Blanca's also got a very weird character to face. Everyone hates facing him basically, right? I don't think I've ever even had this matchup before. Actually, versus Blanca. So she wasn't, the game was released, so I haven't played. I don't think I have played this match. I mean, I faced Blanca before, but not as Rashid. So I'm a little bit thinking here. Yeah, probably not try to dive again, right? That's what to do, air grab. Nice. Yeah, I think I kind of feel that a little bit, certainly. But yeah, we're talking more about the game soon. I'll tell you how do we play this matchup again. But I think you have to almost wait for him more. At least that's the way he plays Blanca. Don't wait for him to kind of dive at me, you know, and then I kind of punch him. And now I have to go to the corner also. Yeah. Oh, Atro, dear? Oh. There we go. EX that, okay. Jesus Christ, it's so weird, yeah. Like ball into throw. It's so weird. There we go. Oh, it's doing like the ball. Yeah, the power up. Okay, fireworks outside? Yeah. Oh yeah, you can do 2 of them. Ah, come on. The hard. Yeah, it seems to be rusty. I should make that one, right? Yeah. You can hear outside now. Happy New Year to everyone. Even though it's not midnight here at all now. It's past, but it's always someone being like, oh yeah, I gotta do it now or something. Or I just don't want to save stay, right? Or do it way too early. Yeah, it's always someone. There's like probably one person throwing all this stuff there. Oh, he didn't jump up. There we go, yeah. See, now I remember, see? But now I learned, yeah, he does lots of jumps, so I have to hard. Now, okay. The last game that I lost was stupid, because he's obviously weak against that spin. Fake. Or fake, but yeah, short one. There we go, reset. Nice. Oh, how do you punch that? Oh, I dropped. Oh no, but the wrong button. I get it now. No! Oh, he punched me perfect there. Oh, yeah, no, this is wrong. I pressed the wrong button. Oh, I feel stupid. No, I pressed the kick. I was gonna win that one. I had it. And I was like, oh no, I'm so bad. Oh god. So it's a double punch, you know, my ultimate. Right, and I pressed the double kick instead. Yeah, that was just terrible. Oh. There we go. Okay. No, he usually jumps there, yeah, he finally stopped doing that. Oh, punch, I think. Maybe if I do a dry rush. Oh, come on, tell me. Of course I can't do that again. Fell for it. That was so easy. Yeah, I hit them back, right? And then suddenly I did a neutral jump. Or you quit. There's a classic strategy, right? You keep jumping back, and the guy's, you know, rushing after you, and suddenly you do a neutral jump, right? And so they see jump, and then you actually land them, right? Classic mind games. But yeah, this game, I mean, we haven't seen too much of it, but I got stumped on my own mention earlier. I was like, yeah, it's great. There's East Asia, it's China. I was like, wait a minute, it's like half all the games. But I mean, obviously, in a general game development sense, right? You know, of course, most game companies are in Japan, right? Or USA, of course. Number one, number two, easily. And then Korea has a lot, and then China is up and coming, right? Obviously, the most growing one. Then there are one couple of others like Sweden, England, France, some in Germany, you know, some in Ireland or whatever, right? Some in Spain, but so it makes a lot of sense, right? Each stuff, but it's interesting. But I still is like, it's kind of like I said earlier with anime too, you know. Especially Japan, they love the whole, like, every isekai basically like medieval dark fantasy, right? You know, every isekai is more or less, unless there's some horror isekai, but most isekais are basically always like, you know, fantasy. Some of them are sci-fi, but they're like 9 out of 10 isekais these days, right? In Japan, light novels and so on, and anime are in, you know, some, like I Was Reborn in medieval Europe, right? Yeah, like all of them. Not only the whole classic one like Konosuba and Slime and so on, but also the ones like the otome ones, like Macarena and so on. You're reborn as some kind of princess, right? You know, like you like an English princess in the 17th century, right? You know, yeah, it's like that's a super common trope, right? So you're just like, yeah, okay. But anyway, let's go to the next game. Oh, here we go. So I can remember that this correct name for this game. Mitt Fantasia, Metaphor Re Fantasia. So this game, guys, man, this game. This game, I'm really excited for. I mean, it does feel like a JRPG, seriously. But seriously, Persona 5, right, you know? A really, really good game. you talked about like a dragon, right? And they're almost very similar because a large, like, thing is that this is a bit of Atlus, right? Atlus makes Persona games, so on, but Atlus is owned by Sega, and some of the people from Atlus and so on had worked on, you know, Like a Dragon and are working on the new Like a Dragon game. So yes, I can say it there. But Persona 5, right? An incredibly good game. I actually just yesterday got Persona Strikers, I haven't played it yet. Persona 5 Strikers, right? And the thing is that Persona 5 is just a massive success for Atlus and Sega, right? That they just keep making it, you know what I mean? Like, they made an anime, and then they made like 3 spin-off games, and they're making whatever, right? So, Persona 5 is a really good game. But unfortunately, especially it's too good, right? It's too popular. You know what I mean? It's just too popular among people, right? With all the characters and the different, you know, the side characters and art and so on. And I say that, and I have a Persona 5 poster over there. Like, all these nerds and their Persona. Like, I have this, like, Makato and Lady Anne poster over there, right? You know, with Queen, obviously. Makato is obviously the best girl. So I'm like, all those people ruining my Persona. Yeah, they're not hardcore as me, you know. No, they're too weeby. They're too casual. No, but seriously, right? Persona 5 and other Persona games are great, and I played them, you know, back in the past, whatever. But basically, they're almost too popular, right? For their own good. So, Atlus and Sega, they just keep making all of these, you know, Persona Strikers, Persona Tactics, Persona, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they keep some gacha game, some 2 anime seasons, some mobile games, you know, like, they just keep making them, right? They just don't stop, right? Basic. Oh, that's that. Dropped that one. Terrible. Basically, right? Yeah, they just keep making them. Persona is too popular. 5, that is. So this game here, I'm honestly very excited for, right? Because, you know, I really want to see our Persona 6, right? And if Persona 5 hadn't been so popular, honestly, right? We probably by now had a 6, right? Instead of having like a remake, or not a remake, but like a polished version, or whatever we call it, the Royale. Which I have though, it's a great game, but you know, like more casual play and so on, but seriously, I'd rather have a 6 game, right? So basically the success of Persona 5 has hindered them from making a new game, right? And obviously they're making a new game, of course they are, but instead of, you know, releasing it faster and actually getting it out, right, they're rather milking that 5, you know, popularity as much as they can, right, you know. Of course, because, you know, it makes sense, right? So this game here feels like basically Persona 6 to me. It really does. It has all the graphics, and if you look at the different UI, one thing Persona 5 did so well, right, is how they're making different UIs, like how the characters are talking at the bar or whatever, at the cafe, I mean, the school and so on, right? That stuff looks great in Persona. The attack angles of the cards and all this stuff. I'm so impressed by, you know, the actual stylistic aesthetic of Persona, right? It reminds me a bit of Bleach. But last Friday this week, I had Burn the Witch review, right? The new Burn the Witch OVA. And like one thing I really appreciate with the new Bleach anime is how they have very stylistic fonts and so on. I know it sounds silly or like super or like super game dev hardcore. I really appreciate the fonts of Persona, but seriously, I do. And Bleach, like, I really appreciate the like the UI, you know, the user interface, and not just I'm not talking about being friendly, right? User friendly. I'm talking about being stylish, aesthetic. You know, it looks great, yeah. So when I see this game, Re Fantasia, and I'm just like, it looks exactly like Persona 5, right? But of course, it's like another world, another characters. So it basically is Persona 6, right? Just with, you know, limited settings and so on, not on Earth and so on, so not a school or whatever, right? But basically the same gameplay, but, you know, in a fantasy world instead. And probably they've changed some other gameplay mechanics. So. But yeah, I really like that. Like, I'm honestly, this might be my best game next year, seriously. One thing I will say to you is that I always really like this whole, like, you know, oh, that's so early. What's it called? The whole Sims, I guess, the side thing. I always really liked it, yeah. So, for example, one game I'm a huge fan of is Fire Emblem Three Houses, right? I mean, I like Engage too, and I think Engage has better gameplay, actual, like, combats are better, to some extent, not all of them, but, you know, generally speaking, the better fights or whatever, but, you know, I miss that, you know, so if it's not too much, but I miss the monastery, I miss the school, right, that of course I did. I also like that, the sim things, yeah, like the fifth half the game, I can speak, 5th of the game is, you know, some kind of sim stabbed, okay, he probably throttled there, weird. Massive necessarily. Is it stream? Hope it doesn't. Started lagging out. The game did at least. But the stream looks fine, right? I think so. Let's change character. But what was I saying? Yeah, this is weird in this game. So you change character to go here. Right? Dumb system. But anyway, before we go to the next game, yeah, like it's basically unfortunate, right? That it feels like we're not getting a Persona 5 game in like 5 more years. I do think they're gonna drop it maybe next year now. But yeah, again, if Persona 5 had been so successful, the 6th game was probably released 2-3 years ago, right? But anyway, I digress, so to speak. I always really liked just this gameplay, you know, like the Sims, right? Like I said, True House and so on. But I used to play all of these games back in the days, you know. I used to play like Persona 1, I played Persona 1 and so on, and so on. And I always liked that. And I think that, not the Sims game per se, but if you compare it to another role-playing game like Final Fantasy, I always liked, in example, FF10, you had to play the Blitzball game, right? To get Vaka's best ball and so on. You have to like to get his like the best Blitzball, do that thing. To get Kimari's spear, Gungnir, of course, named after Odin's spear, you have to do the weird lightning dodge thing and so on. I always liked when the games had some kind of like either weird, but some kind of other game in the game, right? And by doing that game, you get stronger in the main game, right? So of course the Persona games, and then this game, right, and also the separate Fire Emblem and so on, will have some massive focus on this side part, and the better you are at the side part, the better you are at the main game, and they're both very enjoyable and so on. So yeah, I played Persona 5 like a crazy person, right? And Persona 5 was out, the first I just played it 80 hours like a week or something. I just kept playing it. It was like so addictive, right? So but all these other Persona spin-offs game, none of them have, I mean, I should despise, but I'm not a big fan of all of these, you know, the Omega Forces games, right? Dynasty Warrior and so on. So I think it's weird too. I think they're pretty popular in Japan. They are popular in the Japanese community, the Omega Forces game. Absolutely. We have them with Dragon Quest, the game I also have. We have them with the, what's called, Zelda Calamity Heroes, right? And so on, etc. So they keep making them, and they do sell really well. They also have the Fire Emblem. I have that game as well. I have the poster for it over here. But that game I won, actually, okay? I actually won that game, okay? I have the Fire Emblem Omega Force game. I have the special edition with like the posters and the vinyls and everything. I have this like huge special edition of it. But I actually won that game. Yeah, I was part of some kind of tournament, and that was one of the prizes. So I actually won it, like the whole, you know, collector edition thing and all of that, like super ultimate collector edition. Even more stuff, because it wasn't like a normal, a tournament. It was like a tournament hosted by, you know, like the game store, the local game store, or whatever kind of thing. So I got some extra stuff, like some posters and all the stuff. So, but otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bought that game. The Fire Emblem. No, I have played it because I got it for free, right? But honestly, I mean, I don't mind all this Persona 5 spins off, right? I don't mind them doing it. I just wish they actually made them in rare genres I want to play, right? The newest one is better than like type of game, but it's too easy. But I find it weird, and I think it's even more so, honestly, with Fire Emblem and so on. Zelda, at least, I get it, you know. Zelda is like adventure, hack and slash, whatever you call it. Not the same genre as Omega Force, when you're running around with Link and it's like 5,000, you know, people are flying like a whirlwind around you. But it's like still more similar to basic Zelda, where, for example, the Fire Emblem is like a turn-based strategy game, like, you know, God view strategy game, a chessboard game. It's incredibly far from this like hack and slash running around with like one person doing like a whirlwind and everyone flies around you. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I understand people can enjoy that genre, but I don't know why they're making those genre with all those games. Why it has to become a huge thing for, seriously. I don't get it, guys. Leave a comment, guys. Why are the Japanese developers making like Dynasty Warrior spin-off of all the franchises? It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird, yeah. F16 is basically the same thing. It kind of little bit, yeah. Like, why is every game like that? I don't get it, you know. Like, if I was gonna make a Fire Emblem spin-off and also Persona, but even most of Fire Emblem, right, I would still make it, you know, turn-based, you know. I mean, at least, first of all, I have to say, remain a turn-based, tactical focus, right? And so on. Absolutely. Doesn't have to be like FFT or something, right? But something similar to that would be preferable. Anyway, what's the next game? Let's talk about Persona. But I asked for this game. Okay, this is Persona 3, like whatever. I just put it up here, also coming out next year, right? I'm not always excited for this game. I mean, it's a remake, kind of like Royale. So, but I think obviously now when Persona is like a common name, right? I bet that this will sell a lot because a lot of people have played Persona 5, right? Seen the anime and so on, so they're gonna buy this game, right? And it's a good game. Let's just jump here into this stuff that everyone's gonna hate or whatever, right? Who should we play now then? This character. Let's pick a new character. Let's play Aki a little bit. Let's play Aki a little bit then. But actually, do search now? So I do just remember how this is such a weird system. Okay, yeah, you do. But you don't change here. Okay, whatever. Let's talk about Peach, okay? Now, I find it interesting. Princess Peach. I know a lot of people are gonna be all obsessed over this game. And I mean, like, oh no, it's Nintendo is... Tekken-like game. What an insult, man. We cannot write like that? Maybe I can't, because I haven't logged in. Tekken-like game. This is the first game. Oh yeah, I can. Oh, weird. This is like a super long delay. I mean, I'm writing, but I'm the host. Whatever. Sorry, I don't remember the chat. I can see the chat easier. Here, maybe. Yeah, sorry about that. I realized I didn't have the chat in a good window. Okay, I put the chat up here, not the screen. Let's see, like there. Okay. Where everything. Okay, so I just changed character now. Okay, so give me a second to get installed here. Just gonna install my drivers. I have to remember how to work. My low experience of... I played a little bit when she was released. It's like a day. So you got this thing. You got the ball thing somewhere. This is a dive thing. Where's the ball thing? Oh yeah, this is a snake thing, okay. So where's this ball here? No, that's this thing. Oh, where's the ball then? I have to be here, okay. Backward, okay. Okay, sorry. Gotta figure out how it works. So here you got this poison ball, right? So you can try poison ball like this into the fireball and take damage. Yeah, but it is that. This is what you want to poison them with. Well, I'm trying to show you guys how it works now. Okay, but now I feel okay. I'm just gonna just give me one round here so I'm gonna get into how she works again. So you have the poison there, right? Yeah, there we go. And they use a better combos too, I think. If you ease that you hit the two, right? Yeah, like that. Okay. What? I'm used to use Rashid, like I speak. Come on. She has no reversal. I feel I read Aki's at the worst cat in the game. I blame that. No, but I feel like wait, do I have a reversal for this thing? Okay, one more round. We should start this character. See, you got the poison there. You can look like a poison pool, I think, with the next button, right? Yeah. There we go. Okay. How should I approach it? No, she has to kind of whip thing forward. Up. Oh yeah, so okay, now I get it. It's like light, I guess, something like that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I get it. I say, but no, but like the general premise of this character. There's her throw. Yeah. That's a throw. So you can do this thing, right? Yes, there we go. That's a positive thing too, right? Yeah. What, that goes around him? What? What? How does it go past him? What? Isn't this ability to him? What? That the person else? No, it's like Do I have to press a button afterwards or something? Oh no. That I should have won that, right? I was like, what am I doing wrong? Oh no. It's like, it's 2 buttons, right? It's 2 buttons. Come on, let me... Jesus Christ, man. I'm only trying to do this input now. Come on, leave me alone. I'm only trying to do the input, I can see how it works. No, I was like, wait a minute. That's probably not doing wrong, right? But, like, the game doesn't change your character here. But you change character there. So I think her... Okay, I'm guessing here. See, that's like the wrong controller, right? No, not the normal. Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing you have to press like quarter circle kick into like light punch, light kick maybe to throw. So that's so I expect her to throw in there. This thing, right? But it doesn't. So you have to like do what? Oh. Okay. Maybe it's a punch. Oh, come on! What is it then? I need to know. This is important. Maybe it's just punch. There's something. You have to press something else after you do that throw, right? Okay. Or throw. It should be like a throw this over. Come on. That was so mean. I'm just trying to test the input. Stupid game. Okay. No, how do I press that? Which button is it? Oh my god. Oh, there we go. Pacing her. Okay. Maybe it's kick then. It looks weird, but nope. I don't know, jag kan bara pedal. Yeah. Okay, what is it? Why can't I think she has a throw or something. It's like some kind of jump throw thing, I think. I don't think it's like a swarm thing, right? I think it's moving forward. Maybe something else weird, like it's maybe like double down. Where is that throw? Maybe something. Oh god, I gotta check the input. Okay, well let's fight this person then. Next game, okay. I need to go out back to the training. I can't figure out the button is this. I want to go into the game is getting come on. The game too fast there. Because now I'm just trying to like figure out the inputs, right? I'm just trying to be like, what's the inputs, okay? We're gonna turn off the auto search thing. No, right, that's right. I'm sorry. I feel like I told a noob. I need to figure it out. I'm gonna press the button over there. No, my TV has this one like when it tells you that it's gonna turn off. Oh, I've been up for like 10 hours now. There we go. Okay, so what is saying? What I'm trying to do, it's not this one, that's a punch one. Cruel fate, snake step. Okay, so it's not, this is, I think this is what I'm trying to do. This is the one I'm trying to do. Okay, so it's like down, double punch into punch. This is the one I'm trying to do, guys. Total noob. You also cancel that probably. Let's see. Kick is. And then you have this one. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so it's like this. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Okay. So if you do this thing, no, this way, no. Let's see, like this. Yeah. Do this thing. But yeah, maybe you can't eat that then. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what happens when you're a total noob. No, but I'm just. I was like trying to, but it's so similar. I thought it was this one. Oh, sorry, this one. No, where is it? Yeah, that one. I thought that one and this one was the same, you know, like start. Or yeah, no, it's like punches. And yeah, they do look different, but they're both like kind of crawling on the ground, right? Man, that really confused me. So then you can do this thing, you can do, yeah, you can dive and so on. That's what I'm missing there. So I'm trying to throw him by doing this thing, right? I guess it goes the whole screen too. Regardless. If he goes back, I probably would just follow him, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, it has a limit. But maybe the limit is when I reach him though. But yeah, it keeps going for a long time there. Anyway. Princess Peach. Honestly, I can't even remember the full name of this game now, but who cares? This might be a really good game. And I also waiting for people to get angry over this game because no, Peach is like a girl boss or something, right? I think it's really silly, you know, the whole like woke this and that thing and so on, right? Not that I disagree, of course, in general sense that a lot of games are woke or whatever that means these days. But what I mean is that I think it was kind of silly that people were complaining about the Mario movie, right? Oh, Peach is like really good at the you know the what's called the training course the Mario had. You know, oh no. A girl boss Peach, right? I think it's so silly. Like, come on, like it wasn't that bad. Yes, Peach was competent and she could fight or whatever, but come on, she can fight in the games too, in Smash and so on. It didn't feel that strange that Peach is like competent in the movies. But I can see this game having the same controversy. Seriously, this is like, you know, girl boss Peach. Right? She's the main character now. She's badass. She got different outfits. I can see people being like, "Oh my god, they made Peach like a tough girl now. Oh, unplayable." Yeah, it's absolutely gonna be that kind of stuff. Let's be honest here. It's absolutely gonna be people saying that stuff about this game. But anyway, let's ignore them then, right? But I want to address it though, because I mean, he's mad that it's gonna be a lot of this stuff. This game is actually basically a master, right? He actually doesn't do these silly mistakes of letting me skip whatever. But this guy can say me, this guy is too good for me to like talk on a stream and just play him and talk about other stuff. And also playing Aki, I mean, because I barely can play this character, right? I'd like start to play this guy today. This guy is obviously way too good for me to like learn to play this character. Something on a firework. Well, anyway, all that being said though, I don't want to spoil, but basically, right, Super Mario Wonder was a wonderful game. It was an amazing game series. I gave it to a family member actually, as well. So I bought 2 copies this year of Mario Wonder. But that game surprisingly was good. And I mean, I already had pretty high expectation, right? Because Nintendo delivers on, you know, Mario and Zelda and so on, right? And generally speaking, this year has been a very, very good game year. I'm gonna make that like, you know, my top 10 and so on, right? Next week probably, or maybe 2 weeks from now, but in the end at least, right? I'm gonna make that probably next week, my top 10 games. And yeah, this year has been really good. Last year it was like Elden Ring and something else. Yeah, it was like not a very good year, not a good game year. But this year's been really great, and Nintendo has delivered, you know, 2 really good games there. And basically, even if I had high expectations for Mario Wonder, I guess the guy, I was blown away how good it was. You know, seriously, it was so good. And without trying to spoil, like I need to take a short break here because I'm just like really how I explain that. You know, Mario Wonder is of course on its baseline a very typical platform game. You're playing as Mario or as Peach or whatever. You can play Mario, Luigi, and Toad. Yeah, you're running and you're jumping and so on. Pick up the stars, right? Yeah, or the seeds. Yeah, flower seeds. Yeah, but thing is that on every stage in Mario Wonder, you heard right, you find this Wonder Seed, right? Some have 3 seeds and 2 whatever, but you find a Wonder Seed and that changes the game completely. And the thing is that honestly, I was very, very pleasantly surprised how good Mario Wonder was from what I thought it was gonna be. Right? Even if I had again high expectations, because basically every stage is like a different stage. And what I mean is that you find the Wonder Seed, and then suddenly the game world becomes like 3D, right? Or suddenly you're running into the screen. Suddenly it's like you're floating in the sky. So it's like 50 different kind of mini games or whatever, right? It's really interesting as how they made Mario Wonder, because you never actually really know what's going to happen with the Wonder Seed, right? When you find them. Eventually, I will say though, if you played maybe half the game or so, you have seen most of the stuff, and they definitely do repeat some of them. So eventually, you kind of like, okay, I've seen this before, right? So yeah, eventually you get there. But it's like, let's say there are 100 different Wonder Seeds, and maybe it's like 2 or 3 overlaps sometimes, So it's like 50 unique ones or something like that, right? And it's very, very interesting. But I don't want to spoil that thing too much. I'm just gonna say it's actually, to me, it was like, man, this game is actually much better than I expected. When I saw people giving Mario Wonder like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's all this like Mario fanboys, you know what I mean? It's probably a great, I'm gonna buy it for a good game, but yeah, it is like a 9 out of 10 game, 10 out of 10 game. It is a really good game, and it's a lot better than the previous Mario platform game, the 2D one, whatever it was called, like Mario All Stars 3D or something, whatever it's called. The one you can play as 4 people. I can remember it now. But yeah, that game was nothing special. It's like a decent Mario game, but this game is really, really interesting. And it's also very easy to play to, in a sense. Even though the game is like wacky, how it changes everything, it still is like, still is a platform game deep down, right? Very basic system, but at the same time, it also actually has a few actually hard platform stages too. I mean, overall the game is easy, but the actual last ones, in like the minor spoiler, but like obviously have like a special world, right? Like a secret world. Those ones are actually hard. They're not the hardest thing ever. They're not like Dark Souls, but they're pretty hard actually. So anyway, long story short, Mario Wonder was like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 games this year. One of the best games this year, right? Easily. Probably in my top 10 of this year. Or at least very close to it. But a very, very good game, like seriously. And Zelda also, of course, very good game. I like Zelda a lot when it was out. Both very good games. So this game then, we go to Peach now then. Long intro. But basically my point is that just seeing how much they made with Mario Wonder, right? How they changed everything. I am actually really excited for this game, right? Because they're gonna do a similar thing with Peach, where she picks up these outfits, like a fence outfit thing and so on. And I genuinely have very high expectations for them to deliver something like a really interesting, unique platform elements, right? Like again, Mario Wonder was like 10 out of 10, right? So even if this game is worse than Mario Wonder, I don't think Nintendo is gonna make it, half. It's gonna be pretty good, right? So I actually think it's gonna be one of the better games coming year. That being said, though, one issue with Mario Wonder in general sense, though, is that even though it's very innovative on the Wonder Seeds, deep down it's also a very basic platform game, and you have seen a lot of stuff it's doing before with it. And this Peach game, it looks even more basic, right? It's like she has different outfits instead of being the Tanuki suit or the flower suit, that Mario has. She got her own stuff basically with, I guess, more diverse thing. But still, so it's just a little bit like, I don't know if I believe it as much as Mario Wonder, but I don't know. I feel like Nintendo hasn't failed me yet in 30 years, right? Except with Pokemon every time. But except with Pokemon, that is always like, oh yeah, Game Freak, that's great. You know how I feel about Pokemon. But, so yeah, I think it's going to be great. But I will say definitely, to a large extent, is built on my, how much I like Mario Wonder, right? But again, seriously though, Mario Wonder for me was like, I know I'm broken record now, but it really felt how good it was. I was like, it's gonna be a Mario game, I expect something like, whatever it's called, Mario 3D All Stars, whatever. I expect something like that, right? And the game was so much better than that. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is like much better than that game. So it really surprised me how good it was. Oh. Am I in the game? Oh, there we go. No? Okay. Put on noob mode. You can jump it, okay. I'm just gonna, no, okay, you can dive that. Okay, so, I want these players, okay. Gold Jamie, bro, it's gonna like dive kick me all the time, bro. Just poison it now. Yeah, he loves to dive kick, man. He got one rink. Now it's all like dive kick. Yeah, he only has dive kick now. One of these players. See, I told you guys. He's like, I got my dive kick. I unlocked my dive kick, time to dodge everything. See? You can also focus that, yeah. It's terrible, it's terrible. So Jamie's dive kick is not a very good dive kick, it's like the worst one, yeah, I would say. And of dive kicks. You need that one drink to do it. But yeah, this guy, I mean, I love it. This is like, you got that one drink, and now he's like spamming it. You know, like there's like 5 in a row. You're like, I get it, bro. You got the dive kick. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's like you see it. Yeah, so he jumps against the dive kick there. Yeah, he wants a dive kick. Definitely. Oh, come on. So I thought it was a focus there. Surprised me by throwing me, honestly. So you can turn it around. Oh, interesting. He waited that. That was much better him. That was like surprisingly better because suddenly he stopped jumping all the time. You know, he got into like waiting for many jumps, but yeah, but he got like into like doing it differently. So I'm gonna respect him a little more now. Then he started jumping again. God damn it, that was better. It's an empty. Oh, I can't focus now. No, it just was funny. That was funny. Jesus Christ. Oh, I was too slow. I should have done the hard kick. I was greedy. It's gonna be the weaker one to combo it, but I think I might lose anyway here. I don't think, yeah, exactly. He can fidget. He doesn't suck though. This is so terrible losing to these guys. I can't even finish the combo. Oh, I don't deserve to win this. If I turn around now, I don't deserve it. You know, he just dropped that combo like completely. He had me there. Yeah, I just can't. I have a problem with that, honestly. I have a problem. Like, you know, playing a guy is casual after all, but I'm playing a guy that I know that, okay, I actually lost that game because he clearly dropped the combo, so I was like, okay. Like, it feels bad if I turn it around now, you know. There we go. Yaps again. He yaps a lot, I know. What's your anti-air? This one, I guess. Yeah, that one's your anti-air, right? It's like, what's your anti-air with? Like, I'm a complete noob. There we go, yeah. It's like, I have to figure out what is my anti-air? I have to think of it. It's like, wait, what do I do down when he jumps? I think I do this thing. That's her anti-air, right? Yeah, because you also go down with how you do that thing, so it's obviously a pretty good anti-air, because it also moves you downwards. See? They're obsessed with it. No, I'm sorry, but it's so bad. It is stop dive kicking. You can do it again now. Oh, that's that. Oh my god, it's greedy games, man. They always want to get you with the spin on the break test on the ground. Oh, there we go. Oh, jumps. Oh, there we go. One jumps out again. Yeah. I just can't help it now. Oh, it's interesting. Parry. Okay. What's my super? I have no idea. I probably could have done super 3 there. I was like, what is it? Is it kick? Is it punch? Who knows? I'm not there. Is it the one? This one? No, that was the first one. Okay. That was not the one. Oh, that's a combo? Probably. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably a combo. Probably a combo. Okay. Let's game again. Oh, my mouse died. Whew! Another game, role-playing game. Visions of Mana. I mean, I don't know. This is a game I just hope is gonna be good. I mean, seriously. I won't say too much about this game here. You've seen my channel before, whatever, over the years, you know I'm a big fan of the Mana games, right? I'm a big fan of... Oh, same guy again. Well, it doesn't matter, but I was like... was mostly to change the game there. So the Mana games are, you know, deep in my heart, so to speak, right? Obviously, Seiken Setsu 3, they're one of the best games to Nintendo, and you know, Seed of Mana and so on, right? And I liked the remake, Price of Mana. I liked it more than the remake of SF7. It was at least like the same month, I think. But this one is like the first new main game of the Mana games, Visions of Mana, in like a decade, right? Because all the ones are just like remakes or reading that or whatever, right? That me. So I'm interested like a lot. Oh, shit. Yeah. Things that you can definitely, yeah, you can pair, you can drive rush his dive kick. He spams drive kick, so I want to like do a get it like that because it's a great way to like punish it. But honestly, I don't know what to say here, guys. I like the mana games. I hope they succeed with the game, but I can't say I actually had too much faith in them. I was thinking about like, wait, but why am I actually positive about this game? Honestly, this isn't probably gonna be one of the best games next year. I hope it's gonna be one of the best game next year, right? But I can't say for certain. I don't feel like they actually have delivered that good in the latest Squeenix. And as a company, Squid is kind of funny because I feel that they always fail with everything else is Final Fantasy. Mostly, yeah, they're always failing with all the weird endowers. You know, they buy these like Eidos or something and then they fail. Yeah, they always fail on their other stuff. Like, it's crazy how bad they actually are. No, I was gonna throw it again. I was gonna troll loop him. Come on. It'd be a cooler win if I threw in 3 times. Lame. One can dream, right? So that's Jamie's weakness there. See that thing? It's really weak there because it's like a target combo, right? The player basically inputs a target combo because he's like a this mid-range player, right? So he can has that input already, lucky and loaded basically, right? And then if you use the whatever we call it, the drive impact, the red thing, you can kind of punish that, right? Because then you get armor, you can go through it because it's like a 4-hit target combo. So that's like a way to kind of always punish that. Unless they do like a fake one and tap it into it, but that's like, this guy isn't the master level, right? I mean, honestly, it sounds like a meme, but like, no, this strategy will work like 9 out of 10 times, like, unless the guy's like an actual, like a really good player, right? So I'm just gonna assume he isn't that good, right? Honestly. There we go. There's a pretty bad player. Thanks to the poison now, of course he has like 1 health left, right? But Jamie, I think, is like the worst character in the game right now. He's my main though, so I know how to play Jamie, yeah. And obviously I'm much better than this guy, Jamie. Like, I would just be on top of the Aki all the time, right? Yeah, I think so. No, actually, I wouldn't be on top, let me rephrase, I mean, sometimes. But what I think Jamie is good is playing that mid-range, right? So you don't want to be like on top of them 100%. Usually you kind of want to stay a little bit away from them. He's very powerful in like, I'm trying to show it here, but it's hard to show it. He's punching me. But basically in this range, okay, exactly how that's before, but kind of like somewhere about here maybe. Yeah, like there. Like somewhere like, not a full half screen, but maybe like 30% of the screen space, I think. That's kind of where you're the strongest. Then you can kind of bait them, you can do the elbow thing, you can do the palm thing, got the palm strike, you know. Then you got that different like, then you got different Jamie's moves. They're the best there. And you can do that, the crane, the fake crane thing, so on if you have 4 rings. Or 3, I think it's 4 rings. To do the crane well, and so on. But it's much stronger on like mid-range. And you can also do that breakdance move. You also need to have, the breakdance move you can do it of course the closest too, but it has a very good range try. So you can also bait it out, you can do the breakdance move, which is a very good way to drink and so on. So you kind of want to like, rouse that in there basically, right? Something like that, right? I'm trying to explain to you what he's... But this guy, he's too close basically. He's just like too on top of me. Yeah, that's won't defeat him, but he's a terrible player because he can't block that. So if you don't have any meter, right, you take ship damage. So he should have known that it was possible to block. He should have avoided it. He literally couldn't block that and survive it because of also having no meter. Forcing him to come in. Just walk in there, bait it out. Oof, that better me. Doesn't matter, punch me straightforward. Just walk out. the best anti-air is I just ignore it. Just walk out of it. Always works, man. I couldn't combo it. I was not sure if I could do it. Maybe I could if I had done it better. Maybe. There we go. Throw a little throw there. Oh, he threw me. Oh, interesting. I'm just gonna win this game. Can't want poison. He was into it. Nice. Terrible. Oh god, no, just avoid that. Yes. But yeah, I used to Yame was like my first main, I played him a lot. Him and JP, right, when the game was new, so I definitely have the advantage. Obviously, I know that Yame matchup. But let's change game. Oh yeah, Evil Hellblade. I mean, honestly, this trailer is freaking scary, man. Yeah, you watched the trailer of this game on the Game Awards last month, right? I was like, yeah, this game was scary, Jesus Christ. No, but honestly, I think it's so interesting how there is doubling up Hellblade 2 here. I mean, it looks great. Let's just be honest here, it looks great. And it's a horror game or something like that, body horror game, right? But I bring it up because I think it's interesting how I still think it's interesting. In my whole life, it's like video game graphics, stuff like this, right? It's still okay, basically. But if you do it in a movie, it would be like, you know, oh, we can't do this thing, right? But in a video game, it's fine. And I think like 20 years ago, we had people like Jack Thompson, which is basically like before Anita Sokisha, Jack Thompson, he Anita, right? He was the first anti-video gamer guy, and he really was, like when I grew up and, you know, started the industry and so on, yeah, that was like Jack Thompson. He was like video game enemy #1, right, you know, the true antagonist. And basically, Jack Thompson was against all of these games, right? So back in his days, it was like Postal, and it was like, you know, of course it was Grand Theft Auto and so on, right? Like the third and the second game and so on. I think most of him was the first thing, you know, and so on. But then Anita, of course, arrived, but Anita, I think, is interesting. This not about Anita now, but I think Anita is interesting is because she basically said more or less by like verbatim the exact same thing that Jack Thompson has said, like 5 or 10 years before her. Because he was, you know, active for a couple of years, and he had said more or less everything she had said in the beginning of her like career, right? He said too, but she changed it from, you know, like graphic to women or something, and then suddenly it was like, oh my god, she's right on everything. Yeah, so that with Anita was kind of sad, funny, because like isn't saying the exact same argument he said that no one respected him and everyone disagreed with him. But anyway, I digress. But I think it's interesting though how back in those days, right? This game would have been, of course, hated by like Jack Thompson. He'd be like, "Oh no, this game is evil or whatever. Oh, it's, you know, it's a bad video game. It's even called Hellblade, you know. Oh, it's against, you know, yeah." It would be like, "Oh no," it'd be controversial, right? But the thing is that 20 years ago or whatever, all of that stuff just felt so silly, right? Because the graphics weren't there yet. Yeah, the graphics were pretty terrible, right? Yeah, in a sense compared to today. So it wasn't there. But now, when I'm watching the Hellblade trailer, I'm just like, ah, this is like horrible. Yeah. Now I'm just being like, ah, I don't want to play this game. It looks too brutal. I'm like, ah. So maybe he was right. That's my point. Jack Thompson was right. No, but Jack Thompson was correct. No, but this is like, I like I said, I still think, of course, the general argument that I think there's no evidence at all. And APA, American Psychology Association, did this long study, many studies, but it's very long study, right? How much a video game affects the gamer, how if it changes your personality and so on, right? And there's no evidence for it. That being said, though, they actually found one trait in some people that a very, very minor effect in very few people that actually did get more aggressive and so on, playing video games, honestly. And maybe I shouldn't say this here, but no, but it's a known fact, though. If you actually go and read the documents and read the research, which I have done many times, of course, because I work with this stuff, and I even studied this, like 11, 12 years ago. I even studied this stuff, how does this affect you and so on. And now at work we are doing a similar study actually, but not in like, like this kind of games, but more like, well, actually it is kind of similar, but we're not studying. I'm just like a research associate, whatever we call it. So basically, some of my colleagues, they're studying something similar, I would say, right? But I'm in that group kind of ish. But the head researcher, the head professor, with the research, we talked to him just before Christmas, and he promised I was going to be the first test subject or something. so I volunteered. I can't say what they're doing, of course, but yeah, I was like, I want to do it, bro. So yeah, talked to he's a great guy. I talked to the professor, the doctor that is running this research where I work, and I'm gonna be one of the first subjects then. When I mean subjects, I mean they're I'm talking actual research, okay, guys. So I'm gonna sit there with these electrodes on my body, on my head, and they're gonna research my, my brain waves and everything. And I'm not gonna play a horror game, but I'm gonna play a similar genre, right? In a game they have made, and we can see how it affects my, my brain waves and so on, right? And then we're gonna. He has some already. It's like testing your grip strength. But I can't say everything here, of course. But you get my point. So I'm really excited, actually. I think it's kind of fun. Yeah, I was like, I want to do it. I want to be in that Stanford experiment. I want to do it, sir. But it's pretty fun, man. I get paid for it, so yeah. I get my normal salary. I mean, yeah, I get my normal salary. Might as well do that for an hour instead of writing documents. No, but anyway. I bring it up because this game looks incredibly, rough, right? And I think it's interesting, honestly, because, like I said, there's no actual evidence that it, like, actually affects anyone, like, in an actual dangerous way. But there is actual studies that have shown that the same people that also, like, was in the Supreme Court saying that there is no problem with video games, they also said that, well, it's like in these people, though, it does have an effect, though. But let me explain what I mean there. So, it's like, I think it says like 1.7 per million, I think, ppm. No, ppm per million. So it was like, no, actually it's 1.0. So it's like, so not 1 in 1.0%, but like 1, like 7, like 0, 0, 3 zeros, 17. So it's like 1 in every, or is it like, not every, like every 500 people, but like every, like 650? Something like that. There also might be another zero, so maybe it's 1 every 6,500 person. I don't remember how many zeros there were. But anyway, for these people, playing these games actually does affect them. However, it doesn't affect them in the way that the media portrays it, right? Oh, they get, it portrays them as in, like an elevated, a little bit, right? But as soon as you start playing the game, it goes away, right? There is no lasting effects or whatever. That's basically what they found, right? And Oppa saw it many times. And no one has to disprove this here, right? So basically you get slightly, elevated emotions or whatever, right? For some people, like 1 in every 650 people, and so on. And however, that being said though, and why I'm not talking about, I'm a bored researcher, okay. That being said though, there are some people that does get affected by these games though. Not these people about right now, like 1 in every 650, no. There are some people though that do get affected. I want to say it here for some reason, but whatever, yeah, to be fair. And these are the people though that doesn't understand the difference between like reality and fiction. Okay, so these people do get affected. However, one thing to make crystal clear here, it's very important to understand, right, is that the people that actually do get affected by, they actually like, oh my god, this video game makes them whatever, right? These people equally gets affected by like TV shows, right? And movies and books and so on, right? Basically, they have a mental disorder where they can't like distinguish between, like, again, reality and fiction. And I think that's really good interview with the guy playing Gunter in Friends. We're talking about that a woman walked up to him and was like super angry at him for breaking up Ross and Rachel, right? And he's just like, I'm an actor, my name's actually this thing, and I'm playing Gunter. She's like, stupid Gunter, and she didn't want to hear it, right, So she did, and she didn't understand that he was an actor playing a character. she only saw him as a character, right? You know, like she thought Friends was actually reality. Like she thought Friends was like a documentary, right? And I know it sounds cray, but yes, these people of course exist. It's like 1 in a million, right? Those people, this woman would also, of course, think that this game is real, right? I mean, seriously, some people have that. They can't distinguish between reality and fiction. Right? It's an actual, behavior some people have, right? But it's incredibly uncommon, of course, incredibly rare. And like I said, it's like there's no difference between gaming, movies, or whatever. So every time I see this argument, people say, no, but video games make kids do X thing or this thing or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, but if that's your argument, and that's why you wanna, ban games or these kind of games, then you have to also ban movies, you have to ban books, you have to ban theater, because the exact same people, right, again, that are affected by video games are also affected by movies and so on. There's no distinguished thing. Why would be a difference, right? If you have that issue that you can't understand that a video game isn't reality, you're gonna have again the exact same issue with watching like Friends, right? You're gonna watch whatever, right, and have the exact same, so to speak, mental perspective, right? Anyway, so to the people that wanna we have to restrict gaming or whatever, like Street Fighter, and then they also have to restrict every martial art movie, right? Yeah, in the same argument, they would also have to ban like every kung fu movie, right? Because they have some effect. And actually, for that matter, when I was working on a research, take a break. It's a fun. Oh, sorry, that. When I was working on a research actually, when I was in grad school, I built this my own controller. Okay, so I didn't make a video game, but I built my own like like an old stick. But it was not a stick. It was controlling with hands, and it was more complicated. But basically, I built that thing, right? This arcade stick for gamepad, whatever you call it, and I can explain later how it works after this game here. But basically, it was kind of funny because for a week then, when I built this gamepad, we were at the city's, I guess, busiest mall, and other people had built other stuff, right? So I wasn't just the only one, like so to speak. My classmates had built some other, gadgets, right? Not all game related. I'm just talking generally, like some other IT stuff, right? So for a week then, it was a kind of science fair basically at this big mall in the center city, and we would show our gadgets, people test them, so on. Right? So it's a bunch of people, of course, playing Steven the 4 and other games with my gadget, my new gamepad, right? And actually happened was that we're sitting there, and some people testing it. And then literally an old lady walked up to me and was like screaming at me, yelling at me, like seriously, yeah, like a lady maybe like 75, 80, something like that. She came up to me and was like, "How can you build this thing and it's making people, do crime and so on?" Yeah, like it was like, yeah, I got that, like angry, like think about the shit. I got that, like that meme. She was a Karen, okay? She was an actual Karen. She went up to me. And I was sitting there behind these, people testing my gamepad that I built. They're playing Steven the 4, yeah, Steven the 4, okay? I'm old, okay? It was like over 10 years ago. And this woman came up to me, like, and she was so Karen, yeah. Hard on Karen, and was like blaming me for this is your fault that, it's more crime or something. Yeah. You have, that was funny too, because I mean, like I said, I haven't even built the video game, right? I wasn't even making the Steven the 4, of course. At that time, I had just built another kind of gamepad, right, to play it. You were playing it by like moving your hands in circles instead, kind of like Independence. No, what's it called again? The movie with Tom Cruise, or whatever. It's kind of like that to some extent, basically, right? So I built that thing. Yeah, in grad school, like my first year in grad school. And I wrote a paper about it. Here's the fun paper, but yeah. Oh, did she just drop? So I actually published a paper about it. Yeah, I published. That was like my. Yeah, she she rage quit when I grabbed her. Yeah, why? But anyway, seriously, another Karen. Yeah, like seriously. So I made this gamepad, right? And it was me and another guy. And then we wrote a paper about it, and that's published. So you can find the paper. I think it's like in also different sites or whatever, some different libraries, right? And maybe I'm being quoted on that. It wasn't a very good paper, honestly. It was like one of my first papers, but yeah, that was like my first or second paper I wrote. But seriously, they're playing this game, right? And because imagine that we're having this, let's say, science park thing, right, in the middle of this Jewish mall, like in the center of it. So people, they're shopping in the mall, right? They're walking around us. Okay, the point, Like we have this like huge area in the middle, right, of this like big intersection, and they are walking around us. So of course people kind of come in, right? Maybe they're at McDonald's, then they come over and test our stuff, whatever, right? And it's like a way to both test our inventions, right? But also of course to see people wanna whatever buy you invest or whatever. So to speak. It's a fun general thing, right? And what I built then was this thing that you had your hands on these wooden plates, and then you had basically like I had carved out this wooden, let's call it a wooden glove basically. So you rest your hands on this wooden part, okay, like a mouse kinda, but more. Okay, the mouse is like that, but more like you can rest with that. And then you were moving around your hands in these two circles. You had one circle per hand, right? And then you had, of course, what's it called? Some kind of signals, in the circle. In the circle, we had like 8 different, tiny little diodes that could calculate how you're moving your hand, right? So basically, you can move around your hand freely like this, and that way you could control a video game character or even a PC, whatever. But mostly for video games. But you have it both hands, so you could, like, for example, in Street Fighter, you could both give forward and back input at the same time, right? If you like multitask and so on, so you can control it at the same time. And on every button, then on every finger, you had like a button, like a power glove, so you can set that on. But it was better than, for example, the idea in like the Tom Cruise movie. That doesn't work because the idea of standing like this all the time, it's super exhausting for your hands, right? So mine instead was like more in an arcade stick way. There was this big thing, right? You put it on your lap basically. You were sitting like this instead, right? With your hands, like 2 different gloves like this. And you rested your hands on these like wooden glove things, right? So you didn't get exhausted by moving around your hands because you didn't have to lift them up instead. So because otherwise, that classic, again, movie thing with this thing is very, very exhausting. You can only do it for a short time, right? But my thing was like this thing, like a similar to an arcade stick, right? So you didn't get exhausted, and of course it worked. We didn't like sell it or anything, but it worked, and the problem with it, if anything, was that it was very hard to use, and not hard and actually like how do I use it, you know what I mean? But and it wasn't exhausting to use it, but the actual cognitive load, the brain, it was very hard for some people, not everyone, but it took a lot of mental load to cognitive load. Yeah, your mental, you had to be strong, you had to have high mental powers. No, but it was very complicated to play some games with it, right? Because you had to multitask in a different way and so on. But I could, of course, do it very easily. But yes, I could. So it was interesting, and I think that if we had worked on that more, that's like an actual company, I think we could have sold it. For example, like instead of having an arcade stick, you could play with my gamepad because it gave you some other options, and it was kind of similar to what's called the hitbox these days, right? But again, this was like over 10 years ago, so hitbox wasn't like a popular thing then. I've heard about it then, so this was similar to hitbox, right? And this was like pre-hitbox, yeah. So it was interesting. But it was like a grad school project, right? Half-year work, and then we kind of just put the paper and stashed it somewhere, yeah, and never saw it again, yeah, and no one ever saw it again, yeah, and no one ever saw it again. Huh? Is that person's name maybe? Okay, no, they probably just dropped. But I saw the name was like Vulg, yeah, but I don't think they just dropped, right? But anyway, that's like a side story of my grad school project. But like I said, not to iterate too much, but yeah, we had that Karen. She was. I have like perfect memory, so I remember it was a Thursday, the second to last penultimate day there, and suddenly this woman came up there. And she was really old, like 75, 80, something like that, and she was super angry and like she's screaming at me. Like, how can it's your fault? Think of the children. She was like, how can you make these games? This is why crime is rising and so on. Yeah, I was like, yeah, and I was just looking at her being like, what do you mean, like street fights? If anything, okay, very specific crimes. You're telling me that everyone is throwing fireballs now. Yeah, everyone's running around throwing those fireballs, man. Like it's all my fault, you uninspired too many fireball throwers. What more do we have to talk about in this stream? I think I have, let's see, Princess. I got a bunch of different stuff up there. Let me just can I do this thing? And what's it? No, it's no, I say sorry. That's the button. Just a bunch of other games here, right? Talking about the Kong. This topic is interesting. Let's take this topic. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 DLC, okay? How likely is that, you think, guys? I think like an interesting side story here, because I can imagine a Baldur's 3 continuation, I guess we can call it. That could be a big thing, right? Let me just start another game here. So, of course, Baldur's Gate 3 is like the game of the year, everyone loves it, you know, and it's a great game. I don't really like Celsius, but this taste I genuinely like. You should pay me for this thing now. No, but seriously, like, I mean, I only buy this thing when it's on sale, right? Because, you know how it is. I like energy drinks a lot, and I buy all of them. And I admit it, this is my thing, energy drinks, okay? I buy all different flavors, and I'm crazy with energy drinks. I admit it, typical gamer, I know. But I'm not a big fan of Celsius, but if it's like buy 2 for 1, you know, then I buy them, right? So, you know how it goes, right? So I kind of feel I buy energy drinks based on the weekly sale. And where I live, it's basically always a sale on something. Like buy 2 Monster for 1 or whatever, right? But this week is like Celsius 2 for 1 where I live. So now I bought like, 20 or whatever, right? But I honestly don't like the taste. Yeah, fireworks are going again. But this one, I have to say, if I have to buy Celsius, Oasis Wild is what it's called. This one I actually think is really good, genuinely. Like, it's like cactus taste. But I always liked cactus as a kid. I used to drink this thing called Festus Cactus Lime. Also proper flavor Festus. Some drink, I don't know if it's sold in the country, honestly. It's like a green drink. And that's my favorite drink as a kid, so maybe I also just like the cactus flavor. But anyway, on the game on them. Baldur's Gate 3, of course. Most popular game this year by far, right? Obviously, this game is better. Freaking Street Fighter. I have played Baldur's Gate 3 a lot more, actually, though. Yeah, I think I'm up in like 3... I read about it. I played Baldur's Gate 3 for like 300 hours. A little more than that. And I haven't even played this game 100 hours. I think I'm at like 80 or something now. So, man, I'm a total noob. But the thing is that, honestly, right, it isn't that I haven't played this game because I don't like it running. It's because my PC used to handle it, right? At the beginning of the stream, my PC is just my previous PC just struggled so much with this game, and I was not the only one, right, unfortunately. So that's the reason why I just couldn't play it. I mean, I couldn't stream at all when I played it. That would just crash immediately. But yeah, it just didn't work, right? So the issue I had was that even if I didn't stream and so on, and I was just playing the game, this game, it would like crash after I had to like overclock my graphic card, and the fan would go really high and get heated, right? And after like 4 or 5 hours, the game would crash like every day. So I had to either stop playing it like 4 hours, or take a crash eventually. So of course you got tired of that, right? So that's the main factor by far. Where Baldur's Gate 3, very laggy in Act 3, let's be honest, very laggy, it's better now, but very laggy. But that game didn't actually crash that much for me, it happened a few times, but it wasn't like that bad. And it's a turn-based game, and if it crashes, you can usually restart a battle, basically, right? So it wasn't like that bad, but I felt every time when this game crashed, it usually crashed during an online game, right? I'm trying to like rank up to Master League or whatever, right? And it crashes. You get like, so yeah, it was very rage-inducing. Where Baldur's Gate 3 did crash me a few times playing it, but again, not at all as rage-inducing. You can save so much and so on, right? So it wasn't that bad. But like I said, just to point out though, while Act 3 is very laggy in Baldur's Gate 3, and I was all right, those crashes, those were my fault, right, to speak. I mean, my PC was just too old, right? I was getting too old, so I don't blame the game for that. It's like I don't blame Sifat either for those crashes, right? Like my PC is like just bad, right? Yeah, that's why I bought a new one, right? So, but that being said, though, even if this game is somewhat laggy, right? Baldur's Gate 3, It still is not the best game this year, right? But I would say that is very fair to say, and a lot of people are saying too, right? Is that it's better in the beginning. It feels better in the beginning too, and then it's getting more laggy and so on. But I think it's one reason why, I talk about it a lot now, last months here, but I think one reason too is that I think the game is like it's almost too easy to end to, perhaps. I think a lot of people do all the quests right in Act 1, Act 2 and so on, and they get way too over leveled and so on for Act 3, right? And obviously I made, build videos and so on, right? But usually you get some kind of crazy shenanigan build, right, in Act 3, and it's either like it's really hard because you have no idea what you're doing, and that I think is good to it mostly. If you just build terribly bad, right, you're gonna be terribly weak in any Act 3. But if you have any kind of understanding of, better multi-classes and so on, right? Which I made a video about, of course. But if you have some understanding of different multi-classes and different setups in for Act 3, and also Act 2, but especially Act 3, if you have that, it's gonna get like super easy, right? Even on competition, right? All the time, but some boss fights are like a joke, right? That's why they actually buffed some of the boss fights, right? Because it was too easy. So I think Act 3 is weird in a sense too, because either it's like a breeze, or it's probably really hard for you. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in between. Either you have no understanding how the game works, but you still kind of got to Act 3, and now you're like screwed because it's so hard, or it's like, oh yeah, the game is like super easy because it has a perfect build or whatever, or at least a good enough build, right? I say all this stuff, right? Because what I expect to do is an Act 4, okay? If I was working on, Larian Studios, right? And obviously, as we can see, right, Baldur's Gate 3 is selling tremendously much. You don't talk about. This game has sold absurdly amount of copies. It's obviously, this year's most popular game. It's called breakout title and so on, right? Elden Ring was last game year's title and so on. I don't remember if we had one. I can't remember if we had that game 21. Leave a comment below, guys. Or now they're in the chat, the live stream. I can't remember if we had a 21 game. Not like any of these games in a similar magnitude at all. Anyway, I digress. It's super important. But obviously, these two games has really stood out, right, for the last 2 years. And if I was working there, of course you would make more Baldur's Gate 3. Like, it would be cray not to do it, right? It would be like the dumbest CEO thing ever, right? So of course you're gonna make more Baldur's Gate 3. I think for me it isn't a question. For me it isn't a question of will Baldur's Gate 3. Oh god, guys, the divine intervention. My lamp fell. There we go. Okay, I was gonna make this great point too. Jesus Christ, man! So this great point. Okay, there we go. For me, it isn't a question if Baldur's Gate 3 would have a DLC or a sequel or whatever, right? It's when, right? It's not the question if, the question is when. When will Baldur's Gate 3 have a sequel? Not if it's going to have a sequel, right? It's just the most successful game by far this year. Like, of course it's going to have. Sure, there are other games that have sold more copies, absolutely. But you have to, of course, remember that Baldur's Gate 3 is done by an indie studio. I mean, they're pretty big to be indie studio, but still, it's made by a tinier studio. It isn't like this gigantic production, right? So also the cost is much lower as well. Like Spider-Man 2, for example, I don't think it is even profitable yet. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I read some news about it just last week. That Spider-Man 3 costs like $300 million or whatever. It's super expensive, so I don't even know if there's a bit of profit in that, seriously. Because, it's a very big budget, right? And games cost more and more. Baldur's Gate 3 is surprisingly cheap, right? Compared to these other juggernaut games, right? So it isn't all about sales numbers, it's also about how much did you make it. For example, Stardew Valley, a game that I really love, Bethesda game, that has probably the best, historically best, workload salary, because it's made by one person. Yeah, Concerned Ape. Yeah, it's one guy that made Stardew Valley by himself. So the cost of making that game, and he has sold like millions of copies. I mean, that's probably the best game, seriously. I mean, I love it. It's a great game, right? It's of course very simple from an actual, so to speak, graphical and so to speak. I mean, it's a very good game, but obviously it's like a 2D game, right? So
But he made a game himself, and yeah. That being said, I think he worked on it for like 4 or 5 years by himself in his like mom's basement, something like literally, yeah, like living in his parents' basement, like working on this game like every day for like 5 years or something. So it's like crazy. But anyway, I digress. To get my point, Baldur's Gate 3 might be the most profitable game this year as well. Even if it didn't sell the most copies, because I'm pretty sure its budget is way lower than like Spider-Man 2 and some other games, like definitely Spider-Man 2 at least. Yeah, I think it's like several times lower budget than Spider-Man 2. Would be my guess. Estimation of number of employees and so on. And it's kind of crazy. Let's talk about a little bit here. After all, seriously, what do you guys think? But I feel that because I worked for this thing for many years, I have hired people, I fired people, all that stuff, right? And I've genuinely, what do you guys think? I feel at least when I make these streams, obviously I want to play Street Fighter or whatever, and Baldur's Gate 3 and so on. I talk about video games, but I also feel like what I can do at least, which is different than other YouTubers and Twitch streamers or whatnot, right, is that I actually have worked with these games or similar games several times, several years. So I feel at least that I should maybe delve a little more on development and so on. I don't know. It makes my stream, I guess, somewhat different, because I'm not a unique person at all in the industry, even though I'm the best, of course, but I'm obviously people have similar experience to me, but I do feel that it's something I can add on to. What do you guys think about that? I mean, genuine question. You want to see more of that or less of that? In my experience, people want to see more of that. For example, when I worked on this game a few years ago, and we had all these alpha and beta players, right? Basically free QA in a way, right? What I saw, and it's something I said before, especially there, is that you want to make them involved. You want to actually give them the details, right? So for example, if someone reported a bug on our Discord channel then, that the game company had, right? So they will write like, oh, I found this bug in the game, alpha tester, right? And I would always respond to them afterwards, after I fixed the bug. I was like, oh yeah, I understand. The bug is an issue in the array, and this element is, out of bound reception, okay? So I fixed this element, and I would just tell them the code basically. Oh, well, this is how I fixed the code, right? I would write that to these hardcore fans, right, okay? And when I did that, I felt that was the best way to get them really involved, right, Because even if they don't necessarily understand programming or coding or scripting or whatever, they felt that, first of all, I gave them feedback, right? Yes, I fixed your bug, right? I found the bug you talked about on Discord, I fixed it. Then I explained to them, this is where the bug was happening, and this is how I fixed it, right? And here's the code or whatever. I mean, in the general, so I'm giving them the exact source file, but I'm giving them, a general, this is kind of how the issue was, and here's the snippet of the code, basically, right? And people would really be happy about that. So that's why I highly recommend, if you're a developer, you want to involve the community like that, right? Because again, I said, the feedback is great, so they feel that you listen to them. But also, I think very straightforward, right? Most people that are very hardcore, like fans to your game, they spend all the time in the forums or whatever, right, and so on. Most of these people, they also want to make games, right? In my own experience too, when I was young, right, in that age, before I was doing games for money to speak, right, I would hang on these forums, I would write bugs, whatever, I would do stuff, the most hardcore people basically usually are people that want to, of course, go to college or whatever, right, learn how to code, get a degree, and, so on, right. It's a very common trope too, so I think that not only is the feedback important, but they also like, oh yeah, this is what they feel it's actually like a teachable moment, right? Where I can explain to them, like, oh, this is how this bug happens, and you see, blah, 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 and this is how you fix this array or something like that. And they're like, oh, interesting. And then they actually learn it, right? And that might inspire them to, make their own games or whatnot, right? And I think that's very important, as a side note here. As a side note. But anyway, how do I get into this thing? My point was that, developer, I'm a nerd, no. But my point was that when I look at Baldur's Gate 3, right, and any game really, but especially Baldur's Gate 3, I think about a lot of my experience working at different companies and like the employee size and so on, right? Because I think one thing that Baldur's Gate 3 did so well is that it still feels like, a game made by gamers, okay? If that makes any sense, right? But when I look at Spider-Man 2, that to me isn't a game made by gamers. That's a game made by corporation. What they think gamers want, right? And I don't think Spider-Man 2 is a bad game per se. I have a Spider-Man. You know, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so I'm not saying like, oh, I hate Spider-Man. Not at all. But I don't think that Spider-Man 2 is a very good game in a way, because I really loved Spider-Man 1, the PlayStation, and Marvel Spider-Man. But I didn't love Spider-Man 2 at all, because it is just more of one, right? And I just really disliked that in gaming, okay? So even if I still enjoyed playing Spider-Man 2, I enjoy playing it, right? But I'm not enjoying it like I'm enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, because for me it's just like, oh, I've seen this everything before, right? That's what I mean. It's a very much, Spider-Man 2 is very much that corporation making games that they think you want to play, right? Basically, well, Spider-Man 1 was like X, so let's just make more of X, right? You know what I mean? That being said, of course, Baldur's Gate 3 is not the most innovative game ever, but it certainly felt like Baldur's Gate 3 took a lot of chances, right? Not just with the Halcyon scene, but it took a lot of chances. In some different ways, right? But especially the narration and the characters. And that's why I think people really like it as well, right? You know? Because, yeah, you feel like, oh, I can do this guy in a beer. Like, what? It's something that you feel like these big corporation companies will never do anymore, right? They will never do it anymore. You can't imagine Sony doing the Halcyon scene, right? They would be like, no. So that's something that I really respect and like with Larian and Baldur's Gate 3, right, from an ad standpoint. But of course they also have some other interesting things as well, right? Spider-Man, in a way, is everything I honestly despise with the game industry. Not just the game industry, but most mainstream stuff, because it's just a mainstream game, right? But again, it's not a bad game. It's just like everything in a checkbox, right? Like this thing, this thing, this thing. But the thing is that when the first game was released, it was just like so perfect, right? How to swing and this thing, and it was just a great game, right? The first Spider-Man game. And again, the second game is still great and has all of those qualities, and now it's more stuff too. And it's really fun when you're playing it. So it's not a bad game per se, but again, it's the most safest game possible, right? They just checked all the boxes, and then they also added whatever. Now Mary Jane is fat or whatever. They also added that to check that box too. Check those the agenda boxes too, whatever. While we're at it, right? But it really. But I made a video about it a few months ago, right? But Spider-Man 2 really is a checkbox game. It's just like a list of like checkboxes they fill in every possible way. This thing, it's like a 10. It's like a 10 plus 10 list of checklists. Yeah, it's just keeps going. But anyway, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is like the opposite, right? It's the opposite. Here's some juice. Yeah, no energy drink, just juice instead. Dragon juice. Yeah. Dragon fruit. But on the fun topics now then. A DLC. Like I said, it just makes perfect sense, right? I just cannot see them not doing it. Again, it would be like the dumbest thing ever, like not making a Baldur's Gate 3 sequel when it has been, like I said, right, the most well-received popular game this year. It would be crazy not making it easy. I do think though, like I said, that I expect some kind of Act 4 thing, because what people would pay the most for is to keep leveling, right? Is to keep having your characters. I think it would be very strange if they added like another kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's gonna go to the sideline. No, it's gonna be really weird compared to like, I don't know, Diablo or something, right? You're gonna have like Act 5 or something, yeah. The old school way, you know, adding another act, right? I have a very hard time seeing them. What's the earlier Persona 5 has the same thing, right? They added another dungeon, the last dungeon, right? Like Persona 5 Royale. They add another month in the game, add another dungeon, another boss, right? Another character they can add, you know, on top of the previous game. That's what I expect this game to do. Absolutely. I'd be so surprised if they don't do that thing. First and foremost. Secondly, I think they're all gonna make like a spin-off thing. Not the sense they're gonna make like, you know, with current characters, but like an addition of what they currently have. So for example, adding new companions, like, you know, we have the bard and so on. Probably do it as well, right? Maybe some other stuff like a new class, maybe something like that. It's hard. I mean, I know it's a bit of D&D, but maybe, right? That could be a thing as well, like an additional thing as well. And then what I expect to do is something like a Baldur's Gate 3.5 thing, where it isn't actually like an Act 4, but it's a second campaign, okay? You're second D&D, right? But you don't retain your levels, perhaps. That also could be how to do it, right? Act 4 could actually be Act 1 in a new one. So I think they're gonna make that eventually, right? They're gonna make like 3 new acts, complete all the storyline, same characters, of course some new companions as well, right? And they're gonna keep on going there, but actually might have level 1 again though, to make it easier to just keep going on levels. I think that actually is more likely in a sense eventually, right? And I really think that you're gonna reset your levels and so on probably. So it's like a new chance again, right, for new characters be starting out there. And one reason why is because, like I mentioned earlier, if you have all the code, you have all the data, right? I mean, it's very easy for them right now to just make more what I call content, right? Because you have the code for all the spells. So it's very easy, for example, easy but comparable, to make a new world, right? Sit down with some designers, some writers, and you make the quest, you make the world, the level design, so on, the mountain, the so on, right, the dungeons, doing that stuff, and then you have a new act, right? Because you already have the code for all the abilities. You already have the code, for all the stuff, so on. So that stuff of just adding content is the easiest and cheapest thing to do, right? We need to have like a finished game. So I think they're gonna do that, and I could see them actually going away, have completely new characters, even, right, with the same kind of models, so to speak, same level of fidelity. But first and foremost, same characters, new worlds, so to speak, new maps, right? Because making the maps is the cheapest thing to do, right? The actual levels and so on, because you already have all the trigger, the code, and certainly you're gonna add some new mechanics, some new traps or whatnot, right? The developers can work some code there and add some new stuff like that. But all the primary stuff, like the fireball or whatever, that stuff already works, like the VFX already works and so on. So like the last game I worked on, State there, right? You have all these heroes, different units and so on, right? And then you have all the code for the network and this thing and this trap and this thing and this mechanic and so on. But when all that is finished, you release the game, then to add a new hero is actually very cheap, right, compared to everything else. Same thing in like League of Legends, Dota and so on. Right? To add a new hero is very, very cheap, but everything else is done, right? All the network code, all the stuff. And for example, if you add a new hero, and the hero has, let's say, a stun, a burn effect, a teleport, so on, you probably already have the code, right, for a stun in another character. So in Baldur's Gate 3, the absolutely cheapest way to do it is make more content. In that case, then, like more campaigns, right, but with the same mechanics, right? So that's what I expect them to do. That's a logical thing to do. But not probably, not a continuation of the storyline, right? They probably wouldn't make like, so to speak, continuing on the end of last storyline. I mean, it could be the same characters, but like, with new bad guys, so on. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more likely gonna make a new campaign, right? Like now we're over here instead. Yeah, that makes more sense than having the same bad guys and all that stuff, right? So they could have added more stuff and some voice acting, so. But that makes the most sense, right? By far, I would say. So that's what I expect with Baldur's Gate 3 at least. What more do we have? Playing the game sooner again. I'm just gonna. I had a list, okay? This is like super serious. I mean, I'm just gonna talk some. But yeah, Star Wars. Forgot about that. Where did I? Where did I put my Star Wars? Don't I have an image of it? Or whatever. Forgot about that. I have it in thumbnail. Yeah, I know. I don't remember now. Star Wars Outlaws, and they actually have a long story here too. So now we're talking, guys. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay. Now we're gonna get talking. Gonna be a lot of development stuff. Okay. So Star Wars Outlaws is also a very promising game this year, right? And here I actually know a lot of the developers, okay? I'm going to explain soon. I'm going to change character here. I mean, obviously I'm just going to lolling around, so... Ry. I mean, basically... Oh yeah, it doesn't start like that. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so Star Wars Outlaws. It's also promising game, right? It's like a single player role-playing game, adventure game. It feels like a little bit like a Star Wars Elden Ring. Everything is like Star Wars Dark Souls. It's like the Yeah, that I follow on everything is like, how can I make Elden Ring? Yeah, Star Wars Ring, Elden Wars, whatever. This game is made by Massive, okay? And I know a lot of people at Massive. Let's start with that first. So, Massive is... Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's do it again. So, I know a lot of people at Massive. Massive is... is it the big... it's probably... But it is maybe the Massive, yeah. One of the bigger video game studios in Sweden, right? In Malmö. That's how it's pronounced. Malmö, okay? That yeah, Malmö. Malmö is how it's spelled, the OE, but yeah, what? Weird. Again. Strange. Maybe stream. Weird. But anyway, so Malmö then, big city, third big city in Sweden, has Ubisoft Massive is there, and some other game companies too. But I would say, generally speaking, that if you're a game developer in like southern Sweden, you basically work at Massive, or you work at a very tiny indie studio. More or less, right? So I actually know a lot of people work there, like 20 people. People that I went to school with and so on, right? But what actually happened though is that when I went to Blizzard, actually there were like 3 people from Sweden, or actually more. But I mean, I worked with 5 people in Sweden, but 3 of them then that I worked with at Blizzard, when they all like moved back to Sweden, they all moved back. They all worked for that place then. Because we're all from, like, you know, generally, as I mentioned, southern Sweden, which is called Skåne, or Scania in English, which is, yeah, it's like, it used to be Denmark, yeah. So Scania, or Skåne then, is where these people are from, right? So they're like all of them are now at working this game, right? So, yeah, so I know people that I work with, like 5 or 6 people or something like that. They watch this game, and then I know like 10 or so more people from school and so on, you know, that I know from, you know, all the stuff. So it's kind of interesting, and that's why I think it's gonna be terrible too, of course. Yeah, so I have no trust in this game because people are noobs. No, but like I said, it's kind of interesting. I think how Massive become a big thing, right? And actually, for that matter, I forget now. You also have, of course, Massive in Stockholm. It's not the same people, okay? A lot of people are confused about that. I remember that I was sitting on this podcast, this pretty big game podcast this summer, and I was talking about this thing. Oh, Massive is not the same thing, like Massive Stockholm, Massive Malmö. It's 2 different game studios. They're both owned by Ubisoft, but they're 2 different people, right? And so on. But these guys looking at me like, what? Is they the same people? No, they are 2 different people. So you also have Ubisoft then in Stockholm. Ubisoft in Stockholm is mostly former EA, okay? So it's basically like people that worked on Battlefield and so on. More or less, like all of them. And I used to actually sit in the same building as them. Yeah, when they started Ubisoft Massive, I was working in another company next door, so I could see their internet, so, you know, their connection when you log in on a PC. Yeah, you want to join this network, Massive network. So I know a lot of people there as well in Stockholm, but there are most of them former like EA people, right? Like I said, oh damn me, oh man, this crazy character. Oh, she baited me, I was better than me. You baited, I saw it too. But yeah, what can I say about Stockholm Massive? It's like I said, it really is mostly, what's the name, Sebastian Bach, one, the CEO and so on. It really is like mostly former EA people that all dropped from EA because they all hated working for. It's kind of funny, I won't talk too much here, but I do find it kind of funny because most of the people, but I talked to them and so on, right? They stopped working at EA because they were tired of, you know, oh, evil big corporation and so on. They were tired of, like, you know, EA, they're so big and evil and so on. Oh, it's all mean, you know. Yeah, they're evil company and all this stuff, right? And then it's like, oh, so you work for another big corporation instead. Yeah, it's good. It's like, I don't know, but I think it's kind of funny. And people are like, yeah, I can't work for EA anymore, man. Big corporation. I want to work for good video games and indie. And oh, I was working at Massive, like the equally sized ball company, and making you know, casual what's it called again, Avatar, yeah. Super mega title franchise and 0 input and so on. Yeah, the least indie you can be, man. I mean, it's like, good job.
focusing. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's good. That's really good. But honestly, I had zero faith in. I had zero faith, in what's it called, Avatar, something, the game, and it hasn't been really well received. Right? Honestly, I think it's interesting because Massive's latest game then is that Avatar game, right? It was released last month, I think, and that's what I mean. Not only has people, I've seen having somewhat bad reviews, right? Like, yeah, mid reviews mostly, like 7 out of 10 or something like that, right? It's not a very good game, yet speaking. No one really likes it, right? It's very popular. But I have to say, if anything, I'm surprised how little people have mentioned that game. Because, I mean, Avatar is a huge franchise, it's massive popularity, and it's like the biggest theater movie ever. And they finally made this huge game after all these years, right? With almost fitting time release date to the new movie, right? But I really feel I haven't barely heard anyone talk about that game. That to me is even more interesting, honestly, because not only is it like, but I guess not only is it like not very well received, but I'm more surprised that basically it's not received. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it has been reviewed in different magazines or whatever, but I feel like it's such a, like, almost no one talks about it. I don't see people, like, complaining about it either. I mean, if you would at least expect people to rant about it, and be like, oh, how can they make Pandora so boring or something, right? But I don't think there's any, like, YouTuber being like, oh, I've tried to play, the new Avatar game, and it's the worst game this year or something, or it's the most disappointing game or something. But it probably is disappointing, though. It probably is on someone's list of, like, most disappointing game this year. It certainly is, probably. But I'm actually kind of surprised at how little people have talked about it. So that kind of tells me how bad the game is, honestly. I mean, yes, of course it isn't the worst game ever. Because if it was the worst game ever, people were talking about it. It was so bad that it's like comedic. Oh shit, this works right. I think it works, yeah. If it was comedically bad, that people, of course, were making videos about it, saying, oh, this game is so buggy, and this thing, and that thing, and you know how it goes. The people talking about that, right? But now instead it sounds incredibly like bad mid-drive. It's like, oh, it's like a 6 out of 10. Like it's bad, but it's not, absurdly bad. And basically no one talks about it. And if it was absurdly bad, even must sell more, right? Because people will talk about it more. Now it's just like, oh, it's just a bad game and no one talks about it. Even though it's one of the world's most famous movie franchises by far, right? The whole Avatar movies. And they made so much money and so on. But anyway, back to Star Wars then. I mean, actually a much bigger fan, but still, similar, massive, big franchise, right? And that, in that sense, though, I want this game to be good. I'm a big Star Wars fan. This game, Outlaws, takes place between the 5th and the 6th movie, basically in the good old days, right? When Star Wars was good. Yeah, this takes place in the good Star Wars time frame of the good movies, and not the terrible new movies. But seriously, I mean, it could have been, it could have been way worse, right? No, but like, it is funny, right? The same thing with what's called Star Wars Rogue One. That was called. Pretty good movie. I mean, I didn't hate it. It's pretty good. It's like a Zelda movie. I mean, that's being Disney. They know that's what people really care about, right? People don't really love the sequels. You know what I mean? No prequels. I mean, the prequels with Anakin and so on. Not very popular. I mean, some people like them, and I mean, I don't dislike them, honestly. I like the Clone Wars, and I like the spin-off and so on, right? But, they never got as popular as the OG ones, right? And, of course, the sequels are mostly hated. Hated, or people don't care about it. Let's be honest here. Some people are going to defend and say, oh, but Rey is so bad, and this thing, and marry Rey, and so on. But the truth is that I would say there are two different kind of people when it comes to Star Wars 7 to 9, right? Either people hate these movies, they despise them. Everything wrong with modern movies or whatever, right? Marry Rey and so on. They hate them, they despise it, they want old Star Wars back and all that stuff, right? They want Luke to be cool and so on. Or they don't care. Let's be honest, or they don't care. I don't think there are many real big fans of the new Star Wars movies. I don't think so. Because usually what happens, right, with this, like, let's call it what it is, like woke or whatever, right? Like a better word. What happens is that these woke people that like woke stuff, they aren't really fans, They just like it that they get pandered to, but they don't actually like it, right? They don't buy all the merchandise, don't really care that much. So they don't actually really feel it completely. So they don't actually really like, you know, the movie in that sense. They like that Disney's doing what they want to do from an agenda standpoint, but they don't actually care about the characters or whatnot, right? I think it's very fair to say. They don't buy like a figure of, you know, whatever the cat was called. Not just Ray, but like whatever all the cat is called. They don't buy that, right? And then the older hardcore fans just hate it, right? So that's my opinion about it, honestly. Yeah, I think people either they hate the new Star Wars 79 or they are kind of indifferent. I mean, from a PC standpoint, they're happy, but from an actual like consumer standpoint, they don't actually care. Like they don't watch the movies, they don't buy the games, they don't buy the figures, right? So what was I doing there? I'm just pressing buttons. I'm being crazy. Oh, I'm on, interesting. Oh, she blasts herself though. Nice. Yeah. If you can pay the EX, right? Yeah, because paying the energy there, 1 minute. But this game then, after my little rant there, obviously takes place then, right, in that sweet old spot where everyone still loves it, you know, 5 and 6, right? Yeah, Empire Strikes Back and so on. Yeah, oh, this is a good bit. Yeah, like this is where all the hardcore fans are like, oh yeah, this is the Star Wars good, right? No, but seriously, come on, this is why they make like I feel half the spin-off or whatever are made around this time. Yeah, like in the good old days, you know. This is the proper games. Yeah, come on, we're gonna make a game. We're gonna make it. Jedi Fallen Order, right? Like Darth Vader's pupil or whatever. Yeah, like we have to make them all in that. They make them all in that sweet spot of like, okay, this is when the game was popular. I mean, the movie was popular. Yeah, like this is the. Ah, come on! I landed blocked. But yeah, I think it's so funny. They're making all those games like, oh yeah, this is the time where Darth Vader was still alive and he's badass and relevant, and Luke is there. And it's like. But eventually, it's like this all can't be, you know, there because then how many stories taking place on the same time? Then how, you know, I mean, eventually it's like, but how many things did actually happen? It's like in between years were suddenly like 500 days, you know. Yeah, it's like this year suddenly turned into like the Simpsons, where it's like they had 507,000 adventures in like one day. You know, eventually it's like how can they still be the same age? You know, like Simpsons, yeah, Simpsons. I would love if they have aged them up. You know, I would love it. I would, yeah. I mean, I think to me at least, that's always my favorite. Usually, you know, when they make. Oh. Yeah, no. Press the wrong button. Oh, I'm terrible. No, I was trying to do the Super 2. Whatever. I'm too rusty for this. Where's Super 2 though? Sorry. Before I make the point. I'm trying to find it a bit. Oh yeah, I'm playing arcade. Goddammit. But yeah, but like the Simpsons, you know, I would love to make one season Simpsons, but of course they won't ever do it because it's too dangerous, right? But a whole season of them as grown-ups, you know, like they usually do like one per season, right? When they're like in the 20s, 30s, right? And basically if they have like an ongoing storyline of Lisa as a president, right? But imagine a whole, that would be awesome. But I think Star Wars started having the same thing. Where it's like, oh, they have like 7 spin-offs during the same time. How can Darth Vader be in every place at the same time? You know, he has to be a clone or something. Yeah, it's like how can Darth Vader be in like every? How can he be in like 7 movies and 7 video games all taking place in the same year? Like, man, they get around, man. Yeah, you're getting busy, man. Oh, that was so good of me. Whatever. Yeah, it's getting busy, man. It's getting busy. But, so this game then, from a story aspect, everything I said now is going to be true, right? It's going to be in that sweet spot, and they're going to have all these characters I mentioned, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, so on, are going to appear, of course, as quest givers, or some side quests, or some boss fight, right? And it's going to be, you know, talking or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's what gameplay is seeming to be, you know, trying to be Elden Ring. Start Elden Ring. Oh, yes, it worked. So it's okay. Player. But I don't know. I don't have too much hope with Massive, honestly. because I know everyone working there. It is a little bit honest, but shouldn't say this, but I'm live. No, but it is kind of funny because you always have like, oh, I can't believe that guy's working at this company. He's pretty stupid. But the thing is that every company has those stupid guys. You know what I mean? If you ask me like, oh, do I have someone that I don't like or whatever at X company, right? I'm also gonna be like, yeah, of course. But like, there's always some buffoon, right, everywhere. Usually no, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like that, so it's kind of fun. You can't just think of that either. Like, oh, I have, you know, that guy's incompetent or whatever. Yeah, but you always have some incompetent guy in every video game. Now I'm being like pragmatic here. Pragmatism of life, right? Yeah, it's always like a few people that's pragmatic. I like the whole concept of that, like 80% I do is like 20% of the people do 80% of the work, you know. It's not entirely true, but it's kind of like this kind of law, right? But there is actually a lot of truth to it. So for example, most crime and so on, this is typical behavior thing, right? But most crime is conducted by a few people, right? It really is. It really is. So, for example, when you look at any kind of crime, really, but let's say, I don't know, some minor stuff, minor theft or whatever, right? You know, minor stuff, right? Yeah. Most of that's done by the same person, right? You know. Let's say you have a city of 1 million people. It's not, and then it's a 10%, or let's say it's like this much crime every year. So at average, 10% of the people do this thing or whatever, right? But of course, that's not the reality. That 10% does it. It's more like that. Maybe like 1% does it 10 times their, you know, of how many they are, right? So usually what happens is that you have a few people that commit like vast majority of crime. Yeah, like a lot. Like not just like 10. Yeah, they stand for a massive, you know, them themselves, right? And the thing is that if you look at companies, like especially video companies, I'm not saying they're criminals, right? But I'm saying more like, you know, of course, developers or whatever, right? You always have a few people that's kind of do most of the mistakes or whatever, right? Yeah, that's kind of like that, yeah. Kind of like the Simpson, Homer, right? That episode with more than one episode. But they have one episode when Homer gets promoted, right? And Homer becomes, I don't know, vice president of the power plant or whatever, right? And then everyone is like, oh, it's great because since Homer became the vice president, the accidents, the number of accidents at the power plant has now been reduced by like 3,000% or whatever. You know, it's like we used to have like 1,000 accidents per year, and now it's only like 5. You know, but of course it's because Homer does all the accidents. Yeah, of course it is because Homer is the one casting everything, right? So as soon as he got promoted, it became way better because now he can't do all those mistakes anymore. But I love this scene is like because Smithers Smithers. Oh god, I missed it. Wow. Because Smithers says that he's like, but isn't that actually just because Homer was the one doing them all? He can't blocks it, be like, no. This is not like good for him. It means that he did them all. Come on, we all know that Homer was the one casting it. And they're like, no, he's great. Stop being jealous. You know? Yeah, no one believes him. But he's like, no. Clearly Homer is the one doing all of them, right? That's why it looks much better now. But of course Homer is extreme, right? But in reality, yeah, it's kind of like that. So I think it's kind of funny because what's this guy doing? I think it's kind of funny though because oh, he hit me! Wow. I can't actually see my meter down there when I'm streaming because I'm not streaming in full screen. Oh, come on, man. Failure. But it is kind of like that, you know. You have this memory of like, oh, I worked with this guy in Blizzard or whatever. Now he works at Massive, and you're like, man, he's on this game. Oh, it's gonna be terrible. But he's the Homer Simpson. But seriously, though, I'm not gonna say the names here, but I do feel that they have a Homer Simpson like that I work with, and he's working there now, and he's kind of like, oh, this guy does like 5,000 mistakes per year. It's gonna be so many bugs if he touches the code, man. That's my take on it. I'm like, wait a minute, this game is just gonna work. Oh! I wasn't ready for that one. He wasn't ready for that turnaround. He was not ready, man. Basic restyle. Always had walk-in. Throw it. he doing? He's changed his play style since I won last game. Yeah, he's playing way more defensive now. You see that, right? He's adapting. He's growing on me. He's not being a homer. I don't know, he's adapting. Yeah. Oh, come on. I was 1 second too late. He was really good walking out into it. That bad. Yeah. See, now it's like backing off here, see? He's like adapting to it. There we go. You gotta adapt back, you know, baby. You gotta be like, oh, you wanna play the Hadouken game now? Oh, but seriously, he wants to play the Fireball game now. He changed his demeanor, and now he wants to be a Hadouken player, right? Then you gotta change your game, you know. Oh, interesting. Classic, man. Nah, let's get footsie game going. He doesn't have his Super 1 though, so he'll be a little worried. There we go. I could have put kid in there. I probably could have won, yeah. Well, yeah, sweep that for. The range a little bit, you know, to think a little bit there. But honestly, now when this guy wants to be the Hadouken game, I thought I had to think a little bit. Yeah, because he's not a bad player, but I mean, he's changed it so much, right? From playing very aggressive to being, oh, he wants to play, you know, the slow Hadouken game, you know, like it's like, you know, oh yeah, I want to like range and throw fireballs and, you know, like focus on the footsie and so on, right? So I had to like really change up my game there a little bit. Honestly. Oh, he did. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Reversal there. Did you see that coming? Oh, come on! You can see my kick in his face! Like, you can see... That felt ridiculous. Like, you can see... You can see the hitbox there. He can obviously he's like invisible frame there, but Luke is OP, man. That looked ridiculous because I mean I was like I already had, you know, committed to the kick and everything. Yeah, it wasn't like it was timing it or something. No, he has to have a very good invincible frame there. It has to be lasting for like a perfect. Yeah, that looked ridiculous. That was just insane. So now he's parrying too much control, of course. Oh, come on. I was drive throwing there. Oh, he's so fast. But, yeah, not so good. That's probably his mistake, most of this guy. He's like he's throwing too many fireballs when I'm too close to him, right? Luke's fireballs are very good, but he obviously has to zone it. He has to... what's it called? He has to... what's it called? Like... distance measure better, we call it. Zoning, yeah, but I mean... To be more technical here, he has to be a little better at distance measuring, like kind of where he should be standing when it's with the fireball. Like that, obviously I missed it, but the different in order. Like that, obviously safe, you know, on that distance here. But he's doing it too much when I am. Oh, now I'm trying to explain what the strategy here. Oh, Jesus Christ, he does that too much. I shouldn't dash into that. Man, this is not a game That's why it's also why I went in close to him, because I felt I had to just change the tempo a little bit, you know. Sometimes I have to go in to be like, okay, I have to... He's very, very defensively fireballing, right? So I felt I need to use like mix it up a bit. You know, try to make him jump or something. Oh god, he jumped! But I was just 1 pixel out of it, damn it. Oh, no, he survived that! Oh my god. I can probably use times out now. Yeah, that's what he's doing. I can just time it out. He's playing way too defensively, right? So I can just time it out. Jesus Christ, man. He was kind of lucky the fact that he was surviving that. Yeah, I thought he was gonna die from that. Like he saw like one health point, right? So it was kind of interesting that he So that's a very good evasion, I feel. Like, if they jump too close to you, you just walk forward, right? You know, like, you don't have time to punch it like that. So instead of punching, you know, like punch, deflecting it with a punch, right, or more anti-air, you just kind of like, walk forward instead. Like that, yeah. Like just like a small step forward, right? But it's interesting. But this is the first I feel today. He really plays like old school Street Fighter. Yeah, this guy is like, I'm playing Street Fighter. He's like fireballing, he's jumping, he's trying to get in there. Obviously, I'm way better than him, so it doesn't work. But he's trying to like play the game, like Street Fighter 2 style. Yeah, like this is like not many combos. It's like I'm under the fireballs, keeping the distance. But really, yeah, he doesn't play like any other Luke I played in a long time. This is like he doesn't really do the drive impacts. This feels very much more like, okay, I'm playing a guy that's like, yeah, like I'm playing a guy that's like old school. Now it doesn't work, of course, because he's not as good as I am, but if anything, this is even easy for me to win, right? Because, yeah, if anything I'm good at, this is what I'm good at, really, right? Yeah, if anything, that's probably his biggest mistake. He's playing it like the old school style, right? That doesn't make any sense, because if anything, especially as a replayer, I'm not a replayer, but if you play re, right, this is what you're good at, right? The classic, honest fireball range. He should be way more aggressive and utilizing it to Luke a much better character. And I'm not a Ryu main, of course, but I'm just saying, because this is how Ryu works, right? So what it is. And he's played Ryu in the previous games, right? Over this is like 20 years of Ryu experience. This is like you're gonna beat me in a fireball game, right? Our first games, he was playing way more aggressively. He was playing that kind of the modern Luke style, right, so to speak. Kind of what you expect from the player these days. But then he lost that anyway. Then he started trying to like, okay, I'm gonna yeah. Oh, actually, I wasn't sure there. Oh, bad of him. Yeah, terrible. That was terrible. That was actually, he maybe misinputted. That was really bad. Probably speaking of Texas Fox, like a very random Super 1 there. It also cost meter, of course, so that didn't make much sense. He lost that reversal a lot, actually. Oh, he burned his amp out in that one. Yeah. So, see, now he actually changed back again to playing much more in my face, right? Which I have to say is better for him, because he's obviously actually doing it better, I would say. He was like, I'm going into you, more SF6, SF2, right? He was more. That being said, though, he doesn't actually perform that well either. But he kind of mixed it up a little bit. He was trying to do some ball. Okay, now he's back again at defensively here. Now he's back again at that, the classic jump. Oh yeah. But eventually you have to use patience too, because I felt that he was walking there, that he was gonna jump eventually, Like I was just waiting for him to do that jump. Just patiently, he's gonna walk eventually, right? And then it becomes like a game of patience instead. Who's gonna take, if I'm gonna wait enough time basically for him to bait into the jump, right? Okay, that was bad of me. I think he's gonna do it in a row. Let's just get basics here with the fight. That was weird. That was weird. Kind of dropped it there. Whatever, I say one, but. Come on. Let's do it. I should learn that now. I don't know. No, I was gonna do Street Fighter. No, but I have to say I actually like this matchup because again, this guy is like trying to play the game. He's playing very honest. Yeah, he's just playing it so. Well, I have to give you respect to him because he's trying to learn. He's obviously trying to like understand how this works, right? He's so clearly trying to understand how this like actual fireball, you know, like combat works. He's trying to like learn how to actually, oh, that was too early. You know, he's trying to like, improve, right? If I just play more aggressive now, but yeah, like he's trying to understand it. That's why, but I speed up a little bit, right? You know, I was playing a little more mean there. You can see that he's like trying to understand how to like approach the team, you know. Like he's jumping less. He's trying to like walk it in. I kind of like that how he's like trying to like, Oh, too perfect? Oh, that's embarrassing, man. Should I drop it now? And be like, should I be like, yeah, you're out, boys? I'd be like, no. That'd be so rude. You'd be like, no, you're too bad. Sorry, bro. You gotta try better tomorrow. Yeah, it's like, you're out. You're out to trash. Yeah, it'd be so mean, right? I'm not that kind of gamer. Now I'd be sad for him. If I did that. Oh, he did it again. Oh, come on, man. You gotta. He likes doing that. I should learn by now. He likes doing that kind of input afterwards. It's a really weird way to do it, I think. Donkey. Oh, no. No! Oh. But like he shouldn't do that because I'm not gonna block, right? Because I had burnout. So that's a bad strategy for him. He should take more distance there. So I'm obviously not gonna like stand there. This is weird, like parry block into it. It's kind of a strange strategy. Maybe it was the fireball again. I don't know why. He can't reach me there anyway, so. And I have a life lead, so it's just like a waste of time for him. Jag baited! Oh, jag baited! Weird combo. Yeah, but see, that's like a really weird strategy. That's a terrible thing, right? He's obviously used to like doing this, like V reversal, throw them away, then he does like an EX to punish when he stand up quickly. But as you see, in this case, it actually gives him a burnout, right? So you have to think about your meter. That's like a, yeah, that's like a, he's like too used to that, like, oh, this is a cool combo or something, right? But that's just a terrible, you can do it automatically. You have to actually look at the situation, at hand, right? You can't just like spam it there. Interesting. That landed weirdly.
What's their game plan here at this critical stage?
Why? That's strange. But he's obviously a little too nervous, right? He kind of likes takes the bag a bit. Oh. I don't know why he doesn't hear. Oh, come on. That's so input? I don't think so. Why does he always do that? It's not a good strategy. I'm just like, why doesn't he ever learn? I don't know why. That's like a super risky maneuver. Also risky. So he's too eager sometimes to do this weird Well, actually, he's playing worse now, right? This guy actually is stressed out now. He's playing worse now. Now it's kind of boring. Yeah, like he's playing worse now than he did before, I would say. This is the last game on. If I go to 10 strike on him, then I'm. Oh. Interesting. So he's way too easy to bait right there. Bam. Yeah, we need to bait him. Okay, last round. Then he's out. It's the trash. Give him enough lessons, I feel. I could. I thought I just that 4 a bit. Honestly, I thought doing a slide. Oh, that's such a weird focus. Okay. I guess he's trying. He tried to mix it up. I guess. Yeah, he's trying to mix it up a bit. Whoop. But he does it way too often, and they wake up super things. Like it's the guy doesn't learn, man. He doesn't learn. The guy doesn't learn. That's his last chance. He had opportunities. Oh, god damn it! Oh, sorry. I put the arcade stick on the lamp there. That wasn't very good. No, he can't stand up now. Yeah, kind of like made it a bit weird. Very good. My mouse, there it is. Back to the next game. So I think it's here. There we go. Okay, so the next game I'm kind of excited for, right? And remember, this is the next game that I care about. I feel this year. It's a game called Clock Tower. Okay, so this is an old game. How do I play this game? This is like I'm not gonna say it's the OG horror game. It isn't. There's not a game before this game released in like 89 or something crazy like that. So there are some older horror games before this game. But this was released in, I hope I say the right year now, but I want to say 93. But I think it might be 90 something else, like the 5. But it's like in the mid 90s, okay? They released this game called Clock Tower. It's like the first horror game to Super Nintendo. And it actually is a really good horror game, I think. It's actually still one of my favorite horror games. And there's 2 sequels to it. Anyway, earlier this year, they actually announced they're making a remake, right? So they're gonna make this new Clock Tower, new models and everything, right? And release it, I guess, to PS5, whatever, PC or something, right? So I think it's actually something interesting because I still think, like I said, this is one of the best horror games to this day. It's not my favorite horror game, you know, it's not as good as like Silent Hill 2, whatever, but it is a good horror game, absolutely. And one thing I say by Clock Tower, if you haven't played it, is that Clock Tower is one of those horror games where you are as a character, you're playing this orphan, I guess, this woman, and she's gonna move into this like mansion, you know. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but you get my point. You're like, oh, you're gonna live in this mansion now. You're like an orphan, and you have 2 siblings or something. You're gonna live in this some orphan mansion thing, and suddenly everyone is a horror monster, you know. Oh no, the mansion it's Resident Evil. Yeah, it's a Resident Evil. But seriously, it's very similar to Resident Evil. This game was released a couple of years before Resident Evil, and yeah, it is very similar. You're getting into an evil horror mansion, but obviously it's a trope by now, right? In not just video games, but also in movies, right? That you have a horror mansion. So, but obviously, as you see in my other streams, I like horror games. You know, Resident Evil, I streamed both 7 and 8, right? Obviously, I played the first game when it was new. I mean, me and my best friend were playing Resident Evil and the dog scene, right? When dogs jump through the window and so on. It's one of the scariest scenes, right? And I love how so many times when I bring up that scene, like the dog scene is evil. People are like, oh, the dog scene. It's always like everyone knows what I'm talking about. Because when Resident Evil was new, that kind of jump scare of the dogs jumping through the window, me and my best friend were playing it at his house. We bought the game, right? It's Resident Evil. And this was our first horror games, especially for that kind of graphic, the fidelity. We were like screaming, like you were like, ah! It was crazy. It was crazy. It was such a, for its time when the first horror scream was out, it was so amazing. That being said, this game and Clock Tower is very similar. It has a lot of jump scares, and so on. So it is very similar, honestly, and it does feel like a lot of the things you see in Resident Evil you actually can find in this game before, right? And this game is a few years older than the first Resident Evil, like 3-4 years older. And yeah, many of the like tropes are in this game the first. So actually, this game is quite the pioneer, seriously. That being said, I don't know how good the remake's gonna be, but the OG game was like the best horror game when it was out, okay? I can say that easily, okay? When the game was released, this was the best horror game by far, Clock Tower, absolutely. Then of course now it's like been 30 years or whatever, so it's been a lot now and not more. But yeah, it was actually really good for its time. And one thing that that this game is different than Resident Evil is that this is in the genre of horror games when you are fairly weak, okay? And what I mean with that is that in this game you're incredibly weak. So some horror games, right? Like Resident Evil, you're running around with like, oh yeah, I can just take you zombies, and bam, 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 right? There's no problem, right? And the game's just scary, but you're like a very powerful elite warrior, right? Then you have other horror games. I think there's two categories. Clock Tower is in the other category, where you were playing as a meek, a meek woman that is like, monster, you have to run away from them. Yeah, you can't do anything. So in this game, you can barely like actually combat the enemies, and that makes the game to me actually more scary, right? So I actually prefer these kind of horror games where I like horror games, but I prefer Clock Tower, that kind of genre, where you are very, very meek. So every encounter with the monster, you have to escape them, you have to trick them, and there are different ways you can like capture them and avoid them, whatever. You have to play more. You can't just like fight them, right? You can kind of block them and not like get immediately defeated by them. You can kind of avoid and so on, but you can't actually like defeat the bad guys. So instead of this game, you're basically chased by like the main antagonist for the most of the game, and actually, yeah, it's very similar to like Pyramid Head or the Man in Resident Evil and so on and so on. And again, this what's called again the Tyrant and so on is Evil, yeah. So again, this game is quite the pioneer because Pyramid Head and then the Tyrant and so on are Nemesis are basically based on the bad guy in this game, right? One of the main antagonists is like Sister Man, because he can't die, he will always be revived, and he will keep chasing you the whole game. So it's really this kind of horror game, you're constantly chased by the bad guy the whole game, right? And you can never defeat them until, of course, you kind of do do all the puzzles and so on, obviously, but not necessarily the fight, right? And you can't really fight any other monster either. And of course, you have these evil crows and their flying hands or whatever, right? And their ghosts and so on too, right? But the main thing is there, right? So it's a very interesting game in that sense. And then lastly, Clock Tower was a very interesting game when it was released because it also had different endings. So I think it has 8 different endings. It might be more, but I think it's 8 different endings. And that's really interesting too. So basically, you can beat the game in different ways, straight up. And when you beat the game, you get like a cutscene, right? You get an actual like animated, like anime cutscene, like for Super Nintendo cutscene, right? Like actually, like here's a cutscene. You get that. That was really cool for its time as well, like oh yeah, like an anime cutscene there. However, minor spoilers, some of them you actually losing. So this game honestly was really fantastic. Clock Tower was an amazing game when it's out. So it pioneered the immortal super enemy, really good searching, but also several different endings. And again, some of the endings are good endings, some are bad endings, So if you get the bad ending, you actually lose. And then you can actually beat the game in like the B ending. You beat it, but maybe you didn't save your sister, right? But you still beat the game. Then you have the A ending where you save your sister or whatever, right? And you can get like the true ending and so on. So you have like 4 or 5 actual good endings that are, spectrum of good, right? Then you have like 3 or 4 bad endings. So I remember so interesting when you played it in the first time, because you can escape from the mansion quite early. But then but then you get in the car, something happens, you get this like cutscene. So it had really interesting horror elements, and so even if you also beat the game, right, like the true ending, you might want to replay, try to get the other endings and so on. So it's a very interesting game, and it has so many of the stuff we see today take for given, right, take for granted. But it pioneered or had so many ideas for its time, seriously. So I'm really interested in seeing how the remake can make them, come alive now, like 30 years later, right? Unfortunately, it really is a cult classic, so I'm afraid they're just gonna make the graphics better and add some few scenes and the same thing, right? Probably will do that, though. I would rather see them take the genre, like this kind of like I'm a meek main character genre and push that further. I mean, make a game with that more. Because I do feel like most horror games these days are kind of Resident Evil, right? Where you can like, bam, 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 zombies. Come at me, zombies, yeah. Like you're playing Resident Evil 8 and you're barely afraid. No, you're basically more like, yeah, Lady D. Yeah. When you play Resident Evil 8, you're never afraid. It's like, you're more, there's something else I feel when I see Lady D and her daughters. Yeah, it's something else, And then especially when you get to the fourth dungeon, or castle we call it, with the Van Helsing guy, with the Magneto, and it's just like, you get a tank or something, you get some kind of magical tank or something, and a lot of people complain about that, turned into Call of Duty or something, but it really did, it became like another game, yeah, it was like another, you have like a mecha fight or something, but seriously, Resident Evil 8 was only scary in the dollhouse, you're talking about, yeah, the dollhouse scene, that was scary, that was like the only time I was like, okay, this is scary now, and the 7th game, I don't think it was scary at all, honestly. The 7th game was obviously way worse than the 8th game. It was a good, decent game, but the 8th game I think is much better. But the 7th, and I think probably 7th was all these mold zombies, right? They started this new, the lore of the mold, and which 8th game also is continue on. But the way they looked, these mold zombies, which is really boring. They weren't scary, they were just kind of ugly. And, I mean, the family, the bakers, they were like, okay, But yeah, I don't think anything was really scary. The 8th game delivers more on the horror, especially the dollhouse, but all the enemies are like weird horses and so on. But they looked better, and those like vampire chicks down in the basement or whatever they are, and so on. They looked better than the goddamn mold zombies. But seriously, the 7th game I think was just how say it? Compared to the 8th game, is so much worse. Seriously, I feel the 8th game is like 10 times bigger. That's how it feels. Like it's so much grander out there in like Transylvania or something. Yeah. They went more mythological. But I do miss it more, the Silent Hill stuff and so on. One of my favorite horror scenes, this will be a big spoiler for Silent Hill 4, I think it is. So big spoiler for Silent Hill 4, okay, warning. But one of my favorite horror moments of all time in horror games is Silent Hill 4, when the enemy, kind of like this image over me, right? You can have like your safe room, the bathroom, you can save and that, right? And suddenly it's like the enemy breaks into the safe room. Yeah, that was such a good moment. That honestly I think is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Like seriously, that because you're so used to Resident Evil, etc. All these horror games has taught you that if you go to the safe room, here you have your ammo, your crafting or whatever. Here you're safe. You can save, you can reload, you can do all this stuff. You can build your weapons or whatever. And in Silent Hill, when they made that scene where suddenly the enemy breaks into the room where you can save in the game, like for the first 20 hours, you're safe in that save room, right? But suddenly they break the save room and they run away from that, and eventually you get more save room. But that is honestly like a brilliant. Such a brilliant horror move. That actually could be, I think, genuinely the greatest horror video game moment of all time, from like an actual like mental. Oh my god! Because, like I said, not only has the game itself taught you that in this room you're always safe, right? But every other video game basically has taught you that this room should be safe. And when they break that formula, you're like, oh! Like it's just like it really shakes your core, right? That's a fantastic design. Almost too good, honestly, because it's kind of like, it's almost like it breaks a promise with you and the player, right? Like you design that thing, but you're almost breaking a promise. Because, for example, if you save in my game, I mean, your video game, if you save, it's a save state, you just put away the state files, a log file, it's all the data, right? I make you a promise that when you're saving your save file, you can then load on that place, right, and keep playing the game that you're playing at, right? So honestly, it's almost a little bit too much, because it's almost feel unholy, right, to kind of mess with the save room, because it's just like, this is the place where you store the data files on the PC or on the hard drive or whatever you mean. So it obviously feels very like intrusive, right? You're like, oh, not my save file, because it almost makes you think that, wait, are this game deleting my save files? Kind of like Neo, when they delete your save file, right? Yeah, you're like, are you messing with my save or something? Like, you're almost getting like a little too mistrusty of the game there. But also why it's such an incredible, scary moment. Like I said, you spent like 20 years of gaming, always being safe in that room. So breaking that was almost like a fourth wall, right? You know, it's like a horror into the outside the video game, because otherwise, of course, the monsters can destroy the wall or whatever, right? As they do in other places, but never into the place where you save. So it really is. Honestly, I think it's one of the greatest moments of all time. Yeah, the Silent Hill destroying the safe room. It's just amazing. Seriously, but like I said, I like horror games, and as a side note, you know, I've always been a big fan of horror movies, guys. I thought about it at great length, honestly, many years of my life, but I always had like a really sweet spot for B horror movies, something like that. But it's kind of like I explained in my anime video about comedies and so on. I thought about this in my in a comedy review I did a few weeks ago, right, or a month ago. And when it comes to like comedy movies, I have a tendency on this comedy, but this, you know, mostly rom-com, but especially generally big comedy. And this is not just anime, but like also movies, but especially anime. When it comes to comedy anime, I just have like an incredibly low threshold. Honestly, yeah, I can watch like any comedy anime basically and enjoy it. It doesn't have to be like a 10 out of 10. It can be like a 1 out of 10. And that's pretty funny. Like, I have like an incredibly low threshold to watch, I feel, comedy stuff. Yeah, like it's just like I watch every trash, you know, comedy stuff. Yeah, if it's just comedy and it's jokes, obviously I prefer watching a good show. But I feel like I can just like have, you know, and I've always been the guy that if I sit at home and like when I play maybe games or whatever, you know, I can have one screen on showing me like 2.5 men or something, you know, like on the same time, you know, like I'm playing Street Fighter or Step Right, and I have 2.5 men going on the side. Oh, it's pretty funny when it does Charlie Sheen and his mansion, you know, it's like that, you know. So some kind of like super low level of that. That being said, though, I thought I mentioned this before, but like I have seen 2.5 Men, but I could never imagine watching 2.5 Men and actually watching it. If that makes any sense. I mean, like you're sitting down, you know, and only watching that comedy show. That would drive me crazy. Like I would go crazy if I only watched 2.5 Men, I think, and didn't do anything at the same time. But I think it actually is a very good comedy show to be in the background, you know, like a background comedy show. Like, again, you're actually doing something else. Like you're playing a video game, and on the TV you have a kind of mediocre comedy show that you're barely paying attention to. And then, because the thing is that it isn't very funny, you know? Like, I don't even think that's as good. It isn't very funny, but it's funny enough that I laugh every, you know, once or twice, you know, per 5 minutes, right? And that's why it's like a perfect thing to have on the side, right? Because I'm playing the video game, and then sometimes it's a funny scene. That's pretty funny, actually. And I laugh at it, but then I go back to the game, right? So I can give it the attention it needs, right, every now and then I can kind of laugh at it, right? If I'm watching something I really enjoy, like an actual really good comedy, then I have to actually look at the comedy. I can't just watch, you know, especially if you watch a comedy with a very, you know, depth to it, with like intrigue and so on, right? You have to actually focus on it. Right? It's a better show, of course, but it's like... So I do think that's one reason too. And for comedy then, my threshold is like absolutely minimal. But horror is like my number 2, right? Horror movies for me is like... And horror games. Yeah, I can play like all horror games, I feel. And all movies too. Like I feel like I watched like so many bad horror movies. And I thought about this so many times why, but I think one reason why, I think the video game is the same thing, right? The horror stuff, is that I feel the horror genre is so funny because it feels like the only genre where the writers are allowed to just write whatever they want, right? Because no one is complaining. People are complaining when you make really weird movies, of course they are. But I mean, generally speaking, still, they're not gonna cancel you because you want a horror movie. It's like a secret, like kind of blank, you know, it's like a protection bubble, right? I feel you can write any crazy movie you want with an absurd storyline, and it could be horrible things or whatever, right? Or like the Hellblade, it can be that thing. As long as it's like horror, people always say, "Well, it's a horror stuff," so you just watch it. It's like, it's just like it's like a blanket protection against critique or something. And of course, it means that a lot of horror stuff is completely terrible, right? They have crazy ideas and they're terrible ideas. But I do think that so many horror movies and games, especially movies, like all these super cheap movies, are... I find them funny to watch, right? Because like, people can do whatever they want. And also people do whatever they want, right? Yeah. So I think it's just like more just crazy.
But the horror games like this game here, same thing, right? I feel like it feels like when you develop a horror game, it's the same thing. You can write any crazy story you want, and people are can critique it, of course. But in the end, it's like, yeah, it's horror. So, you know, so you can have way more obscene storylines, crazy storylines, and so on. Then you can have in like a role playing or something. That being said, of course, Japanese developers are much more cray than the Americans, right, when it comes to writing. So, I mean, you can play the average JRPG and they're kind of cray. But I mean, if you go and play like a horror JRPG, you know, they are really crazy. Yeah, when they get into that, they can be really crazy. And for that matter, I don't have the image. I don't know when it's coming out. Okay, so obviously this game, I don't know what's coming out, but another game that I'm very, very excited for, and obviously we mentioned it earlier, right? Silent Hill, but it's like I have no idea when this game is coming out. Okay, that's just what I'm saying here. So, but let's talk about it because this game is actually something I'm really looking forward to, and it's written by the same person that wrote When They Cry, which is really crazy. Okay. If you haven't seen When They Cry, it's a really, really fantastic anime and so on. And before anime, it's a novel and gaming and so on. But his name is like Ryoshi Hu or something like that, right? But I don't remember. Here we go. Silent Hill F is called. Then they have Silent Hill Townfall. That's something else. Silent Hill F. Let's talk about it. This is a game that it looks very similar to what's it called now again? Oh my god, anime earlier this year. I forgot it now, of course. But it's an anime where you go to oh my god, Hikoroki Ikoro. I can't pronounce it correctly. The flower anime. This is an anime. Actually, Konami is crazy thinking about it when it comes to copyright. Maybe let's talk about it. But no, but it's an anime called Hell. It's like an anime. It's like Hell's Paradise in English. Yeah. I was like, what's it called now again? It's that classic. Like, what is it called now again in English? You know, man. Sometimes I don't remember the English. I know the Japanese name for it. I'm like, oh, Higuraku, something like that. Oh yeah, that's what it's called in English. But Silent Hill F actually looks very similar to this anime then, which is called Hell's Paradise, right? They go to this island. It's like medieval Japan, and everyone got this favorite flower power. It's very similar to the anime actually, and it's called Silent Hill F, right? That actually might be the best game next year. It looks fantastic. And then again, it's written by this person that wrote When They Cry Sinsenida, When They Cry Umineko, so right. As it bought the animes and so on, the novel for Umineko. Incredible good writer. And he's interested because the writer, his name is like Ryoshi7 or some pen name, right? But the writer for Silent Hill F, he used to be a social worker. He used to work for, like social services for, families or whatever, right? That's why both When They Cry movies and animes are crazy. And they're inspired by actual real life. Obviously, they have magic in them, but he's inspired by actual stuff he has seen, right? That's why he's so as a morbid writer. He's like, I've seen a lot of bad stuff in my life. So it's basically his way to write about horrible stuff he's seen in his work, right? And of course, making it more magical, but still, And he's writing then Silent Hill F, Ryoshi 7, yeah. Ryoshi 7. But I don't know if the game is coming out this year, though. That I would say. I don't think there's any release date. It might come out this year, Silent Hill F. Doesn't say anything here. The weird thing is that they have announced another Silent Hill game called it's called Townfall. Yeah, they call this Townfall instead. But they also have announced, and that game is coming out this year. But that's developed by completely someone else though. It's a spin-off. Yeah, so I don't know. That doesn't sound as exciting. It's like it's not the main game or whatever. I don't know what they're doing with that thing. I was like, come on, man, just focus on that main game. But yeah, Silent Hill F might be the best game if it comes next year. But honestly, I'm gonna guess that Silent Hill F is coming out 25 instead.
But that could be really interesting. Now look at my list of all the games I haven't mentioned yet, guys. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going through some lists here of different games coming out. But I guess that could be it, guys. Let's just stream. So now I can't go off. No, there's one more game. Okay, not one more game. I was getting embarrassed. I was like, what is the next game called? Vanilla Weird's next game, of course. Sorry, what's it called now again? That game is I'm really excited about. Unicorn Overload. I knew it was one game, and I was like, what's it called now again? I just couldn't remember. I was like, Vanilla Weird something. That game I'm actually very excited about. I mean, I loved, I really liked Sentinel. There we go. That's how it looks, yeah. Unicorn Overload. So this is a game, like a strategy game, some kind of Fire Emblem lookalike game, right? For the same people that did Odin Sphere and so on. And I got this game 13 Sentinel. And the 13 has a very interesting, 13 different like main characters. You swap around and so on. Incredibly good storyline, and his time traveling and his time looping is incredibly. I mean, 13 Sentinel is one of the best games I've played in my life from a writing standpoint. Really good writing, amazing storyline, and world building and so on. The problem was the actual gameplay, the actual like combat was pretty terrible. It was decent, but it wasn't very good. But this game seems to be more typical, turn-based, like Fire Emblem, Disgaea, whatever not, and then having that kind of something kind of crazy time looping storyline or whatever, because they usually have in their games. So I'm actually also really looking forward to this game, right? Unicorn Overlord. It looks really fantastic. This might be, I think this is gonna be maybe for me one of the best, if not the best game next year, but definitely not a mainstream game. No, this is definitely not gonna be a game that you it's not gonna win, Game of the Year or something like that, because this has like 30 employees. It's very indie. It's not gonna sell that much, But again, they make really good games. Vanillaware. It's very interesting, very different games, right? Like seriously, Third Sentinel, again, one of the best storylines I've seen in my life, right? The problem was it also had this, except the unique gameplay, there was some kind of like tower defense or something, and it wasn't that good. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't like fantastic, the actual the system. But like half the game though is kind of like the visual novel figuring out. I mean, I'll say it. If you haven't played Sentinel, you're not only playing like how do I explain it, right? You're not playing just like how to explain it. Like, how would I explain it? I'm trying to explain. This game is more over battle, but 30 Sentinel is like, how would I explain it? I mean, half the game is, some kind of narration, right? With 30 different characters. But basically, the game isn't just telling you this is the bad guy or this thing is happening or whatever. The game is like, you have to kind of do like a puzzle game. Every chapter, you have to kind of figure out how to like get. It's like one of the typical Monkey Island kind of thing. It's like, how do I get past the guard to get into the castle kind of thing, right? I have to get the toothbrush, and I have to make a car, paint a car. Something. It's like you have to do some kind of weird puzzle game, right? Or talk to people or something to get ahead of it. So half the gameplay is that, right? Like how to interact with people, and then that can split into different like time travels or different like. But they make it much more complicated because they have 30 different characters. You have different alternate timelines and so on, so you can do different branching, and it's extremely complicated in a weird way. And then you have this like tower defense, right? Which is the biggest part of the game. So half the game is actually that kind of like puzzle game, right? And then you have this incredible storyline. But it overlords that then. They basically gone back to, this kind of like ogre battle, look at more, I think you move in with your armies in the auto fight, like classic ogre battle and soul nomad, right? More so like a classic, combat system. They probably have some spin on it, like this spin on it, right? But this to me seems just way better, right? Like, okay, we take an ogre battle, mixture of Fire Emblem, right? And then we have a classic like Super Nintendo-ish strategy game, right? And then I'm sure you're gonna have to mention this time traveling and weird storylines, right? So yeah, Unicorn Overlord for me looks it's probably the dark horse of next year, right? I really feel so. And again, I think it might be the best game next year, seriously. However, I'm sure it really is a dark horse. Like no one's talking about it. It's gonna have like basically no sales. It's a very tiny company. They don't have any big promotions. So it's kind of sad, right? But this might be one of the unique and best experience next year. But I have hopes for this game definitely. But I just think it's better too when you kind of go back to that. Like I said, right, their strength has never been that like pure gameplay, right? That company's strength has been everything around it, the meta, the time traveling and so on, in the other games too, and the weird stuff. It's never been like the straight up fights or whatever, right? So this game looks better, but they're trying to be more like, at least it looks like they're trying to be more classic, but who knows? It looks like Ogre Battle, and they probably have like a twist to it, and so and maybe it's awesome, but it also might be questionable as well. Knowing this company, they're gonna have some weird ideas, like, oh well, we have to make something unique, right? Yes, certainly. But anyway, guys, hope you guys have a happy New Year's. For most people, it's probably 2024 now, right? I don't know. I mean, it depends where you live. In America, I don't think we are at 2024 yet. The rest of the world is no, almost by now. Yeah, it's been for a few hours now, but I mean, I started streaming it when I read it was New Year's. But I think people find working. I never get it. Like I said, it's kind of funny. I feel right. It's always someone blasting 500 rockets before everyone else, right? There is always someone else that's the same thing, but like 3 hours later. It's always like those two guys. That one guy that has both way too much firework and he's sending everything before everyone else. So he can be like, everyone listening to me, right? And then the other guy that waits for 4 hours, right? And then he sends 100. That's what I'm hearing right now. I'm just like, there's still sometimes I hear a lot of fireworks, but it's not like that, how to say it? When it actually is the new year, like a few hours ago, then it's like, but now it's like that, right? It's like it's not one rocket, but it's like 10 rockets, right? So it's like that thing every now and then now. But there was one guy, like an hour ago, that was doing like 100, but he was that guy. He's been waiting for a few hours to be like, oh, now it's my time to shine. It's almost kind of late here now, but I have vacation this whole week though, so I'm just kind of chilling. And now someone's writing to me here. It's also kind of funny, right? Because people calling me from Sweden and a couple other countries, so yeah, it's like my aunt's calling me from Sweden and so on. I mean, it's like that thing too, right? It's always funny when half your family lives in different countries. Yeah. And also weird, not weird, but sorry, but I got a message this morning on my phone from someone that wrote like, I couldn't call you, but Happy New Year's. I was like, hey, fine. But it didn't say a name, it said ... So I was like, very cryptic, but I guess, yeah. It wasn't like a bad message, it wasn't like, I know who you are, yeah, I know what you did last summer. It wasn't like a bad message like, yeah, Happy New Year's to you. It was just like, yeah, good, Happy New Year's, see you next week, basically. And I was like, who is this person? Yeah, it was like a very positive message, but it didn't say who sent it. It just said like, the name was like ... and it wasn't saying. I didn't recognize a number, so I was like, interesting. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't find the number either. It wasn't on any list, so I was like, okay. Still feels weird though when you get like completely unknown message from someone. But I was like, well, I guess a happy message or whatever. Let's move with my life. But I was like, interesting. It's weird. Okay, what do these people want? That's kind of funny sometimes. Yeah, it's like okay. But anyway, guys, some of the games. Of course, I haven't mentioned every game this year coming. 2024. Very much doubt that. For me, right, it's always. In the end of the day, I'm going to end up just playing a PP game anyway. No, but I don't know. Actually, that's one thing I mentioned. But obviously, I'm excited for Ed, right? So, yeah, in this game here, around me, Street Fighter 6, right? My main in the last Street Fighter game, 5, was Ed. I love playing Ed, and Bison's son is my favorite character in that game. Not because how he looks or not, but his gameplay, okay? His dimensions of gameplay. And unfortunately, because Ed has this like easy input, people are always like, he's playing Ed because easy. No, I'm playing Ed because he has an easy... even though I'm playing him because he has an interesting gameplay, okay? He got the best backdash. He's a very, like, he got interesting normals and footsie, okay? So Ed is a very, like, neutral heavy guy. And in the new game, everyone is talking about skipping neutral because you have your drive rush in this game, right? So I'm interested to see how it works because his strength really was that neutral game, and because neutral is very weak in general in SF6, I'm very interested in how Ed works then, because again that was his strength, right? And then also because he has his special inputs in the 5th game, they probably have to revert that to some extent for this game, but not too much. So people I think are overblowing it. A lot of people haven't actually played Ed in 5th game. They just heard about his easy inputs. But the thing is that Ed had weird inputs more than easy because he had to charge his inputs. They had to charge his gravity pull in 2 different ways. They had to charge his like ball thing in different speeds and so on. He was actually a very weird character to play with very like special inputs. But yes, his like uppercutter is like 2 or 3 buttons instead. So that is the inputs, right? And that's not really how modern works either. Modern has like you press 1 button and it does your special for you. The Ed wasn't working like that. He had like you press 3 buttons, just like Balrogs with the spin thing. So it wasn't like he was like a weird input character, and people always overblow how easy it was to play him, which I think is so funny because end of the day, right? You're playing like pro level, you're playing on like Master League, you're up there, you're good in the game. Your input isn't gonna be what's holding you back, okay? Like everyone at like pro level now has played the inputs, right? Like that's not a concern, like you know what I mean. That being said, of course, even on pro level you might drop your combos or whatever. People do that, of course they do, but very very rarely. So that Ed had like easier input or whatever. I think he had like 0. Ed was actually a very low tier character for like the first 2 years of the 5th game. Then eventually he became an 8 tier, but for the first like 2-3 years he was like a really terrible character, or he was a very special to play, right? So no, that's what matters. Doesn't really matter that it's easier doing his Hadouken. It doesn't really matter when it's like no, actually he was really low tier, and of course I'm hoping they're gonna fix that. But seriously, yeah, finally playing Ed again is also one of my high points of this year now, 24. Because he was the funniest character to play in the last game. But I really hope one thing there with him, sitting here wishing for Ed, but I really hope they are fixing his lack of overhead, right? So Ed didn't have a normal overhead. So in Street Fighter game and other fighting games, right, usually you have an attack that goes from high downwards, right? Which means that it hits people that are crouching. Same thing in like Virtua Fighter or whatever. So for example, if you play, what's the name again? Pao Shan. In Virtua Fighter, she can do like a triple button downward press, and then she will do like a throw against people that are crouching. It's not a throw, it's a command grab kind of thing, but it doesn't visually look like a command grab. But it is technically a command grab. And those kind of abilities, right, to like hit downwards in a weird way, right, are very common in fighting games. You usually have one of them per character, right? But Ed didn't have that in the 5th game, never got that. And Poison didn't either, and Shoshi didn't have it either. There's a few characters didn't get it, but most have it, right? And not having that with Ed is really terrible. It means that you can never actually attack like high to low, because everything you can do is basically always blockable by low, right? So if you face Ed in the 5, you never have to block high, because all his abilities are either mid or low. They're never high, they're never overheads, right? Unless if he jumps, of course. But if he jumps, you obviously see him jumping, right? So if he's standing on the ground, you don't have to guess up or low. It's always low, okay? That's a huge drawback for his character. Even, of course, when he was buffed several times, still a huge drawback. His first buff was like fixing his bugs. But basically, I mean, that's a huge drawback, right? So that's my biggest hope, that they give him overhead. Probably because it really is a massive disadvantage from the mind game, right? You can never trick someone to block higher up, because any good player knows that you can never do a high. Why would I ever block high then? I'm only gonna block low right now. So it removes that completely, that mind game. So you have to pull them in instead with the gravity. You have to like trick them with the gravity and so on. So that was one thing that made him weak, definitely. I'm not saying that the only reason he was weak, right? But it was like a massive disadvantage. One of his biggest faults, having an overhead. For example, you have really good overheads. Adon in the fourth game, for a counter example, he has an overhead which have 2 attacks. Okay, he does like an elbow thing, but hits twice. That, for example, was amazing. This is some of the patches because if they did focus in the fourth game, you have an armor, so you have to take them twice, right, to remove the focus. So if he did overhead with Adon, you would remove the focus because he hits them twice with the elbow, right? But if they crouch low and doing something, you can also hit them with the elbow. So his elbow would just win against both focus and anything crunching. That's like a really good ability and made him, Odin was very good at some of the patches. That was like a very, very powerful level. That's opposite, right? Because then you have, how to say it, plus in mind game, right? Like you are not afraid of, doing down stuff because not only is my overhead powerful and quick, it also like defeats other stuff too. So I'm gonna do it probably even more, which will make you block more high, right? Which makes it easier for me, of course, to go low instead. And then, of course, sometimes you might focus on your activity anyway, so you also do focus less. So that's like a mind game plus ability, right? Where Ed just is minus. There's a big minus. So that's interesting for me to see this as well. Nerding out here on Street Fighter knowledge. No, but that's like a good example, I think, of game balance. Because I would genuinely say that Ed never got anything to compensate for that. Because his gravity puts for his weight not good enough. And he doesn't have like a quick jump either. The thing is that, for example, Kame in this game, right? Kame can do a spike downwards, whatever it's called, or she jumps and spikes downwards from the sky, the drop kick thing. Same thing with Jamie, he has his dive kick, he has one ring, and so on. So it's like, if you have those abilities, you might not need an overhead because you can jump and do it quick like that, right? Where you see good having them, but like that kind of compensates for it if you don't have it because it's a very similar thing. But Ed has like a slow jump instead, so I don't know. He was like a slow floater too. So no, I don't know. He just didn't have this stuff, which is weird. But he was like a very weird character. I remember everyone basically hated him when he was released because he was again very low tier, had several bugs, like straight up weird bugs with him, and those stuff he had very like weird like. They buffed him a lot later, the range on his like uppercut and so on. Yeah, like, very weird ranges on his. He was missing the kick into the uppercut. That was very annoying, and so on, right? And then there's like lack of overhead, lack of like a good in jump. He had like all this weird stuff, right? But like I said, I like playing it because not because it's low tier, because he had a very different playstyle actually, right? And then I was dislike people complaining about the easy input button, but that's who cares, man. Like he still was a low tier character for like 3 years. Anyway, they didn't save him from being like absolute trash anyway. But it was like interesting, and he had a very unique gameplay basically because he had the best invisible frame in the game and the best backdash. So his actually was very defensive in a weird way. He looks like he shouldn't be, but he has a defensive character. And you can do this like weird input back and forth with him and so on. And his like reversal just made him spin away from them. Kind of like Fang, so you can do this like weird reversal behind them, and he had a lot of like actually really weird abilities that people really didn't see too much of because he was like a. But actually interesting because I read about just this morning, Ed, while not popular by the pro players or like the hardcore players, right? Mostly because of his inputs, the hardcore players, pros because he's like a bad character, right? Most of the patches. Actually very popular among the players, right? General population likes him, so he's a very unique character. So I don't know, long Ed talk, but I'm just like, he should hopefully be released next week, or this week, I mean, it's yeah. He hopefully is released this week, right? He's gonna be released in this month, very likely in January. I have vacation this week, right? So I'm just being like, guys, I'm home. Capcom, if you listen to Capcom, give me my Ed Capcom, okay? I'm gonna be home for like at least 10 more days, whatever, right? Before my work starts again. So Capcom, where's my Ed, okay? I'm just gonna be home shooting out, man. Where's my Ed, okay? I can use it with my family or whatever, but I wanna play Ed, okay? Like I don't wanna go on vacation. I wanna play Ed. But it would be perfect to drop Ed now, so I can play with him way more, right, before work again. Anyway, guys, what do you guys to get? Please subscribe, slap on the guys, right? And I'll see you guys with like top 10 anime, top 10 games next week. And yeah, there's some new animes coming next week. We're gonna review them, and also I I feel the first game I'm gonna stream this year is probably then Like a Dragon, right? I think so. It probably releases soon. But yeah, now you guys have a great day. Or Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's.